Hello, everybody. Welcome to day one of the Glorium Technologies Digital Transformation in Real Estate Summit. My name is Javy Martinez. I will be your host today. I have a lineup full of rockstar speakers joining us today that will be speaking over how technology is changing the real estate industry. A few of our speakers for today include Dmitriy Stepanov, who's a co-founder and CTO of Glorium Technologies. We have Mark Stepp. He is the Chief Innovation Officer at Bob, founder and CEO of AskDOS, Bryant. A past speaker, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Vishal Sethi, Assistant Vice President of Data, AI, and Digital Transformation at Bristlecone, and Narskin Marthy, CEO and co-founder of Bumblebee Spaces. And myself, Javy Martinez, the host, who's been hosting startup events for the last 2 years across the country. Really excited to be able to bring this back to y'all. This is my 10th time hosting this summit, so I want to thank Andre and Dmitry for allowing me this opportunity to be part of the summit team. I'm calling in from Dallas, Texas, and I look forward to hosting this event today for y'all. So I will be back shortly with our first speaker here in about 2 minutes, who will be joining us. In the meantime, if you don't mind, please go ahead and share this stream with your friends, family, coworkers on LinkedIn, Twitter. Tell us where you're at. Feel free to also drop in your LinkedIn profile link in the chat if you'd like for us to connect. I'm always looking forward to connecting with people after these events. So thank you very much again for joining us, and I look forward to fielding y'all's questions. So I hope you enjoy. While we wait for our first speaker, if you want to put your company's name, maybe a 1-sentence bio, and what y'all do, that would be great. I'd love to learn more about who's on the call and who can be able to help. How's it going, Dmitry?
Good. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome, everyone. I'm happy to open our Digital Transformation in Real Estate Summit. A few words about myself and about company. Just to introduce myself, I am a CTO and co-founder of Glorium Technologies. Glorium Technologies by itself is a technology company. We provide custom software solutions for different domains. 2 major domains that we cover is healthcare and obviously real estate. Now, what to expect from this summit? Well, for many years, Glorium has been helping to develop digital product for real estate technology companies. And we as a company are right in the middle of the technological transformation, witnessing success, failures, emerging trends, promising but not mature technologies, and so on, so on. On top of this, Glorium helps with product management, compliance, certification. We also do some business consulting and even provide some bridge investment. So all this exposes us to multiple sources of information and actually multiple, angles of view on the real estate market. And we want to share all this knowledge, and we want to actually promote other players to do the same. And today, with the help of our speakers, we will cover some of these topics. Not all, some, time constraints. We do conduct such summits regularly, so stay tuned for future events and for more knowledge sharing. Before I give the stage to our wonderful speakers, let me share with you a couple of my thoughts on where prop tech is now. Well, first of all, majority of our clients are startups, and funding is one of the topics that always running around, at least in our viewpoint. Gloomy picture of the past 6 months didn't change a lot, and we all know about global drop in the funding and technical layoffs. But prop tech's expert They also expect that new startups in this year, 2023, will be target for the consolidation, I don't know, through the mergers, through the acquisition, maybe takeover from some traditional real estate firms, or just simply fold under the big pressure that we have right now in the market. Startup founders, I mean, they probably will have to deal with some, I don't know, I guess pivoting away from the growth only model, and investors will be a little bit leery to inflated values in the first half of the year, but we will see how it goes. At the same time, the market prediction paints absolutely different picture. Consensus is 9.7 annual growth over the next 5 years, bringing the global real estate software market to about $19 billion in 2028. A bit, I guess, contradicting trend, but in my opinion, the market of real estate is very resilient, and we clearly see it's growing, and setbacks are temporarily. Big investors are just around the corner, I guess, waiting for the right timing. Now, big trends, obviously, the trends that we see and we witness ourselves from our side and other people who we talk to. Virtual reality, it's not a new trend, obviously. Pandemic did show its benefits, and it seems like it proved to have major benefits over traditional property showing, and it still demonstrates in potential in the future. And we expect that further, more deeper use of VR and AR in real estate, it's going to continue to expanding, and especially among the investors. So that's one of the topics. Artificial intelligence enhanced analytics. The development of artificial intelligence, well, I mean, it's not new also, I guess, either. It's been here for decades, and I think it actually in real estate also, you can say in decades, but not very deeply, just maybe a few prototypes, a few changes. But there is a new actually emerging trend, and it's actually very specific for 2023 and behind. It's a quantum computing artificial intelligence, because this specific approach is very useful for the big data analysis, and which is very typical for the real estate. And there is actually the forecast that state that in the next 3 to 4 years, the quantum artificial intelligence, I'm emphasizing not just artificial intelligence, but quantum artificial intelligence will grow from 400 million to about 1.52 billion in 2026. And we think that it's just a tip of the iceberg because its utilization, we still don't know how to utilize it fully. There are new technologies coming, there are new limitations coming, and market is still learning how to use it properly and how not to use it improperly. So we will see a lot of changes in the next few years. The next trend is, well, it's kind of old also. It's a streamlining of all processes. I mean, well, real estate market is traditionally a bit, I don't know, conservative, and real estate is still catching up in automation of many tedious day-to-day responsibilities. So boom is ahead. It's not behind like for some industries. So that's going to be trending as well. Metaverse. Well, there were some setbacks in this area, but at the same time, the market is growing. Prediction is actually pointing that market is going to be growing even further. Right now, it's virtual real estate valuation is about 800 million, and it's expected to grow up to 6 billion by 2028. So it's a just ridiculous number. I mean, frankly, I don't understand it, but well, it's a market who is driving, not myself. And another thing, I just couldn't resist. I know that the next speaker actually will be talking more about this. Well, I mean, a lot of new artificial intelligence tools are popping up, and I wanted to double check if my introduction actually correlate with reality, even so I'm pretty sure in the information I provided, I did pretty deep analysis. I actually asked ChatGPT to provide me 5 leading trends in the real estate software development. And I was, well, I'm not sure if it's a surprise, it's kind of confirmed it. It gave me the following 5 points. Virtual and augmented reality, as I covered, increased use of artificial intelligence and machine learning for property valuation. Artificial intelligence, well, it just says artificial intelligence. I mean, well, it's kind of old because, I mean, as I said, it's already quantum artificial intelligence is coming as a trend, but still almost right on spot. Blockchain, well, you can argue blockchain is kind of phasing out, maybe phasing in. I guess industry kind of lost in the blockchain how to use it and maybe not to use it. It's still there, but I think it's already not trend. It's almost standard for some approaches, for some solution at this moment. So you can say it's not a trend anymore. It just must have. Smart home technology, I think it's a little bit old. Predictive analytics and big data for better marketing, insight, and forecasting. That's actually, and machine learning will be used to analyze large data sets from variety of real estate sources, blah, blah, blah. So that's actually is kind of correlate with my artificial intelligence using the quantum computer, so big data. So it was ChatGPT was almost right on the spot with some deviation, and obviously there are different interpretations. So I would say it's pretty good. 8 out of 10, I would say, for the just emerging technology, taking account it's going to be developing first and it's not matured at all. But again, next speaker will be covering this in more details, and I hope he will provide more insights for you. And I really hope that all other our wonderful speakers will be able to make a much more detailed and precise outlook, as well as maybe explain other related things. And I'm really excited to hear what they prepared for us. So let's begin.
Awesome. Thank you, Dmitry. Appreciate what you and the rest of the team do. I'm excited to bring on our first speaker. So real estate, it's an interesting topic given that it's been around for so long, but I feel like the technology has not.
Well, we'll see.
Awesome. So our first speaker of the morning is Mr. Mark Stepp. He is the Chief Innovation Officer at RealVolve. The future of real estate, embracing ChatGPT for increased success. Mark, how's it going this morning?
Doing awesome. Dmitry was right on several of those, so it was good that we're both backing each other up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to your presentation, given the fact that I'm loving what ChatGPT. I know ChatGPT 4 just kind of was rolled out yesterday, I believe, at least from a development standpoint.
GPT-4 was.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you have in store for us from a real estate perspective. So I'm excited. We have about 40 minutes. So if you want to maybe speak for 30 to 35 and leave the last 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A for the audience.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, for those that don't know me, my name is Mark Stepp. I am the Chief Innovation Officer here at RealVolve. And a lot of my background really comes from the real estate technology that I've been doing. I've been in this industry for 32 years. I'm the co-founder of RealVolve, Dave Crumby being the original founder, and just a great guy. You guys need to get to know him. I am also the co-founder and co-author of a book called Our Best Workflow Secrets. And it's something that we kind of deep dive into a lot of the things that real estate agents need for workflows. And we're digging into the the whole AI piece as well. So something to actually spend some time on. AI and GPT enthusiast, man, I've been digging in deep on a lot of these different companies that are doing things and just really enjoying it. And I do like to consider myself a prompt engineer, and we'll get into what that actually means in a few seconds. So unless you've been living under a rock, you should at least have heard about ChatGPT. Some of the things that it is doing is just incredible. The amount of time that they've gone, the least amount of time, 5 days to go to 1 million users is just incredible. So a lot of talk about it. But what I really want to concentrate on is AI systems. And the concept is it's going to be with us for a long time. Right now, there is a war going on between AI, OpenAI, Google, Meta. There's several different companies that are all working towards this AI piece, and it's just really creating a war symptom of who's going to come out winner. And it may not be just one, it may be several, and we may just have to go through and kind of pick the ones that we want to utilize within our own companies. So some of the key terms that I'm going to be using, I just want to make sure that everybody knows as I'm talking, and I do tend to talk fast. I've got a lot to cover and a lot of information to actually go through. So if I talk fast, hopefully you can get this on our replay and just kind of go at it a little bit of time, rewind as you need. One of the things that we will be talking about is a prompt. Whenever you get into ChatGPT, it's going to ask you for a prompt. That is just a conversation with the AI itself, with ChatGPT. Once you are prompted for something, you'll use natural language to actually fill in the information, and then it will give you a response. The response part is the content. It's the information that's being created based off of what prompt you give it. And the more accurate the prompt, the better the response. You're going to see that in a lot of different things that you do. As you develop your skills in creating good prompts to get good responses, you actually become that prompt engineer that I talk about. So we'll get into that. I will talk about seeding. Now, one of the things that you should know is that all of these large language models, the LLMs that they'll talk about, is built off of billions of data points. I think 1.75 in the 3.5 version of ChatGPT. With some of the newer stuff with Google, they're announcing like 560 billion or something like that. So all these different data points are good information that it's building on, but there's a lot of things that you are needing to generate or create, and it takes some additional information from you to actually hone in on exactly what you want. So we'll talk about seeding. GPT, for those that don't know, GPT is just the generative pre-trained transformer. Generative just means it's creates things like sentences and stories. The pre-trained means it already knows a lot. It's got all these data points. And then the transformer is it takes one thing and creates it into another. So based off of what it's already been trained on, all the generative stuff that's already done, it can actually transform content based off of what your needs are. Now, the one last thing that we really want to make sure that you think about hard is discernment, the ability to judge well. And while that's not a technical term, what that comes down to is the information that you receive as a response from any of these AI pieces, whether it's ChatGPT, Google, Meta, whoever, the content can be wrong. And whenever it gets it wrong, it can be confident in its wrong answer and make you think that it's right. So be very cautious whenever you're using any of this information. Now, what is ChatGPT? It's really just that artificial intelligence that you're chatting with and using it in a natural language format. So to kind of show how this happens, and I won't go live with this, didn't want to risk time and stuff, but you can go to chat.openai.com and set up your own account. And whenever you do, it'll come up to a screen similar to this, and it'll constantly be changing. There's some new things that were just announced yesterday that will cause some of this to actually change. But you'll actually type in your prompt. The prompt is the question, the statement, the information that you're wanting to give ChatGPT so that it will return back a response. Once you type that in, you press enter, and then it will return back a response. And what it's creating is content. It's creating ideas. It's creating the different things that you want, but it's all in text format right now. Within some of the newer versions that are coming, they're talking about multimodal, which will be not only text, but also voice, video, music, stuff like that. So be looking out for that. So what can ChatGPT do for me as an agent is probably the first thing that you're going to think about. Well, one of the things that agents spend a lot of time on is just creating content, coming up with ideas for content. What are all the different things that I want to do this month, this year? And ChatGPT is excellent at helping curate that information, bringing it together, creating those ideas, creating the content, thus saving you time, saving you money, and making you more efficient. What I like to do is talk about we can do our business better as a real estate agent under what I call the core strategies. The core strategies is an acronym for CORE: conversions, operations, retention, and experiences. Everything that you do from the time that you get a lead or curating that lead all the way to a signed agreement is your conversion area. Once you've got your converted client, then you go into your operations, your signed agreements, whether it's a buyer's agreement, a listing agreement, all the way to closing day. Those are all the different things that you do in between those 2 points. And then once it closes, then you go into the retention piece. So you've got your past client nurture, everything that you do until you get another new lead out of that person. You're actually retaining that person over a long period of time. And then if you wrap all 3 of those into the last element, which is called experiences, you're basically wanting to give everybody a world-class experience throughout the process. That then gives you that ability to retain those customers over a long period of time. Now, what I want to do is actually cover this in each of those different elements. How would you use ChatGPT or any other? Again, we could be using other options, whether it's Google, OpenAI, Meta. There's lots of different options there. Lead magnet ideas. This is one of the things that plagues our industry, coming up with good ideas for things for lead magnets, the content for it, creating scripts for ISAs, for your FSBOs, your for sale by owners, your follow-up calls, your prospecting. These are all different things that you can create through ChatGPT. Email and SMS nurturing templates, just emails themselves or SMS messages themselves. Home buyer and home seller webinar and seminar outlines and content. A lot of agents go through and they'll create the content for webinars and host live webinars or seminars. And all that needs content. And you can use this information from ChatGPT to create this. YouTube videos and scripts, role-playing practice. One of the amazing things with ChatGPT is you can have it act as somebody and actually go through and ask you questions. It waits for a response, and it can analyze your response and figure out, does it give, are you giving the most appropriate answer? Could you be a better agent if you knew how to answer certain questions? So certainly some things to go about there. If you were an agent, brand new industry, one of the things that many of the coaches out there talk about is figuring out a niche of some sort. What are you going to specialize in so that makes you different from all the other agents? Well, you can use ChatGPT to create a list of 100 niche ideas that I, as a real estate agent, can specialize in that would give me a unique advantage over other agents in my area. And you could even say, instead of my area, in Springfield, Missouri, or wherever you're from. And then ChatGPT comes back and says, here's a list of 100 different ideas, because you've asked for 100, it gives you 100. It goes through the process of giving you what you're asking for: luxury home, eco-friendly homes, vacation homes, all the different information, up to 100 different choices. You then can go in and decide, okay, what are those things that I want to specialize in? Pick one: luxury homes, okay? Create a list of attention-grabbing lead magnet ideas. So not only the ideas, but make them attention-grabbing. Use your voice, use your wording so that it gives you what you really want. I want attention-grabbing lead magnet ideas for home buyers and sellers that can that I can include in a PDF document that would be useful for people looking for luxury homes. I've picked my luxury homes. And then boom, you press enter, it gives that information. And it starts giving you some different lead magnet ideas. Well, then you can say, well, the one that stood out to me was the ultimate guide for finding your dream luxury home. Now, go in there and create the content for the PDF and title it as the ultimate guide for finding your dream luxury home. Insiders, tips, tricks, and traps, whatever you want to call it. In long form conversational text, what this does is this says, hey, I want it to be wordy. I want it to be in long form conversation text, not analytical or academic or anything like that. I want it conversational. Include home finding tips, tricks, and even traps to watch out for in the Springfield, Missouri area. You can do it very specialized and say include paragraphs, bullet points, and other things to think about. Now, you're giving it a very specific prompt to get a very specific response. And then it'll go through, you press enter, and it'll start giving you the entire content for the PDF. And I'm just showing the very beginning of these just to make it very quick and simple to show through this. But it creates all the content. You can then take that content, put it into a PDF, put that PDF onto your website. You now have a great lead magnet for luxury homes. Plus, it's very specific to your area or even a neighborhood if you wanted to identify you as the specialist in that area. What you might do is go in there and say, okay, I really want, as people start coming in, maybe I want a questionnaire of things that I would ask them if I needed to know more about them. Well, have ChatGPT create a fill-in-the-blank multiple choice questionnaire asking the potential luxury home buyers 10 key questions, including what's the most important thing to them as far as feature, location, amenities, yada, yada. It then comes in and starts creating the multiple choice and fill in the blank questions. Again, put that into a document, fill it out, and then you will be able to get that information that you want very easily. If you don't like the questions, you say, give me 10 more questions or whatever, and it'll go through and create some additional questions for you. You could go in there and say, create 10 points of interest for a PDF handout targeted towards luxury home buyers. And what you're doing there is you're wanting to specify, I want to get more detail about things that are really pertinent to a luxury home buyer, and then it'll create the 10 points. So all this is content information that you really want to be able to use. Maybe you want to, once you get that lead in, you want to help your ISAs with some scripts. You can go in there, act as a real estate agent ISA. Whenever you do act as, it comes in and says, okay, I'm specializing as a real estate agent's ISA. I now know, based off of that one piece of context, what I need to create. But it goes through and says, okay, create phone scripts, create email, create this, that, and the other thing. And it will go through and create exactly what you're wanting. I want to find luxury homes in Springfield, Missouri area with the main interest of the ISA to ask basic questions and emphasize the importance of setting an appointment for the luxury home team to best serve the customer. Include a comment from the ISA that they need to confirm their email and phone number. So you're telling it exactly what you want, and then what is the wording that would be best for getting that information. And it has, because it's been trained on so many different data points, it actually goes through and figures out the best wording for you to get the best results available. Once you get that client as a signed agreement of some sort, either listing agreement, buyer's agreement, now you start going through what we call the operations side of core. It is everything that you do from marketing of property, getting the property ready, all the different things that go through that as far as photography and possibly inspections and stuff like that, all the way to closing day. What are the things that most agents deal with immediately? Well, property descriptions for flyers, MLS, social posts, those types of things, all the different marketing material, emails, SMS, appointment reminders and deadlines, the virtual tour scripts, the home buyer and seller communications. There's just a ton of things that happens during that process between the signing and the closing. We call operations. So what we want to do is start looking at how can we do this. Now, earlier we talked about the word seeding, and this is an example of how you seed a prompt. Create a 3-paragraph property description in long form text that highlights the unique features of a home using the property details listed below. I'm actually seeding it with the pertinent information that I want for this particular property. Include bullet point list of highlighted information and a summary of why it would be good for this property to be looked at. Utilizing each of the property details is not necessary. However, use a proper mix of the information provided to create a narrative of a lifestyle description that can be achieved when owning this home. So you could have an entire list, a huge list of things. You're not saying use it all, just use the things that's pertinent and then list them all out. The beautiful thing about this is you can use the same script for every property, and all you have to do is go in and change the information in the list. Okay. There's also automated ways of doing this. This is just doing it manually. So then it comes back and it says, okay, the property located at 123 Main Street, Bolivar, Missouri. It's a stunning single family home that is now available for purchase and at an asking price of $450,000 with a spacious 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. The property is perfect for a place for a family to call home. And it goes through and it lists all the information. Do you know how much time it takes for real estate agents to come up with wording like that? This is where the time savings comes in, and you can go in and create it very quickly. Now, you've got that, but maybe you've got a word limitation of some sort. Maybe your MLS requires a certain number of words or characters. You can say, give that same description in 750 words or less. Boom, it gives you a synopsis of what was a very wordy description and bring it down to 750 words or less. Maybe you need it 1,000 characters or less. Boom, it gives you the same thing. This stunning single family home in Bolivar, Missouri, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. You know, it brings it down to just the necessities. Now copy paste that into your MLS and you're good to go. Maybe you want to send out a Twitter post from that same information, but use emojis. Boom. You know, you tell it that you want to create a Twitter post using emojis, and it comes back and it shows you that. Again, copy, paste that right in there. Time savings all over the place. Create 5 Facebook posts for the property listed above with hashtags, and then post 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes through the entire process. These are the things that take up so much time for our agents or their assistants or whomever. And it's something that we can now, using AI, using the technology that's out there, create an abundance of time because we're saving it through a tool that can give you the results much quicker. Once you go through that process of all the closing, all the things that you do through closing, then it comes down to retention. What are the things that we do to retain our customers? The past client email nurtures, the home maintenance reminders things, the blog articles, the newsletters that we send out, home marketing updates. You know, these are things that are being spent time on, and we can now create the content very quickly. Now, here's an example of give me a list of past client nurture email topics. I just want the topics that I can send out that are similar to home maintenance repairs, reminders of appealed property taxes, how to prevent pipes from freezing. These are topics that I've maybe done in the past, but I don't want to use those again. I want something new, but these are the types of things I want. So you're giving ChatGPT an example. It then takes that example and says, sure, hey, here's some more topics. Market updates and news, seasonal tips and advice, home improvement ideas. It just goes through. And if none of those hit it, you hit regenerate and it'll create 10 more, whatever. So some really great content there. Give me more details on each of the topics above. Now I've got my list. Maybe I want more detail on each one of them. And it goes through and it lists more detail on each one of them very easily. Create 3 possible themes for each month of the year for retaining my home buyers and sellers over the next 3 years. So I want every month for the next 3 years, I want 3 possible topics. Give me something to choose from. And then it goes through, and typically they'll be in some theme for the month, but not always. In this case, maybe one stands out: new year, new home, ideas for upgrading your space. Okay, you highlight that and you go in there and say, okay, for January, let's go with the idea of new year, new home, ideas for upgrading your space. So you put that in there, brainstorm ideas for this topic that we can talk about in our blog. And boom, now you've got blog content. You've got all the information and you can read through it. Now, again, use discernment. Make sure that it's the information you want to share. Make sure it's the wording that you want, and also make sure it's correct, because ChatGPT can hallucinate. It can make content sound very real, and it's not. So be very cautious of that type of stuff. Maybe you want to say, write at least 2 paragraphs for each of the items above, and goes through and actually creates even more content than what you had originally received. So you can just go in and really hone in on what you want, and you can just type in, give me more of this, give me more of that, give me less of this. If it's not quite right, use your prompting engineering skills as you go through this process. And it's really just a matter of talking to an assistant. Just like you do right now, if you have an assistant, you're talking to them about different things, be very specific on what you want. ChatGPT will create specifically what you need. So the last thing that I want to talk about in the core strategies part of this is everything has to be part of a world-class experience in order to retain those customers down the road and get good referrals down the road. So you can ask for strategies for giving world-class experience. Solve common challenges before they happen. Provide the specialized contents for families you serve. And I'm going to show an example of that. Pop-by ideas, ideas for memorable client events. These are all different things that, again, take time to think about, but you can have ChatGPT actually create it for you. So as an example, maybe you have a couple coming in and they have a family. You just happen to know they've got 2 kids. They're going to be coming with them. They couldn't get sitters, or they wanted to, they were coming in from out of town. Everybody wanted to stay together, whatever. But you want to give some world-class experience here, okay? So you go out to ChatGPT, you say, create a storybook about a family with kids. They're looking for a new home to live in. They will be touring, and I put in brackets viewings, and that's basically a variable. I'm going to use some seeding, but I'm using a variable there. It's going to be replaced by the number 4. I'm going to show them 4 homes in different neighborhoods that could have other kids. The kids go on an adventure to find a home, and they're excited, but they also find that it could be scary. And you just describe kind of what kind of story you want to create. The mission for today is to let the kids see the homes and to help the family decide which of the homes. And you give out the pertinent information about the story you want to create, the parents' names, the kids' names, their ages, the description of maybe the 4 properties you're going to go see so that they can relate to each one of them as part of the story. You press enter and boom, it comes up with once upon a time, there was a family of 2 kids, Jimmy and Sally, and they were looking for a new home. Their parents, John and Mary. Now you've got something that is very focused on a specific need, a niche for what you're doing. Plus, you're giving that world-class service. Take this content, throw it into a printable book format, and it's got 4, 5, 6 pages, and they can just go through and read it and give them something to do on the way there. And then also at the very end, it goes through and gives them reminders of each of the different properties that they saw. The ultimate piece, though, is at the bottom. After visiting all the homes, the family sat down to discuss options. Each home had its own unique features and benefits, and they had a hard time deciding which one to choose, but they were excited about the possibilities and the new friends that they could meet in any of the neighborhoods. In the end, they decided to go with something that take some time to think about it and revisit the top choices. They knew that no matter which home they chose, they would be embracing a new adventure together as a family. You're bringing the family together, and the new adventure comes with new opportunities and making friends and creating memories that will last for a lifetime. If you were to get something like this from your agent, what would you think? That's the thing that we want to talk about in creating those experiences. And ChatGPT gives us that ability to do that. Create a real estate agent pop-by list for each year of the month, or each month of the year. In this case, you're basically saying, hey, I want to create some pop-by ideas. Give me some ideas, or whatever. So going through and creating pop ideas. Maybe you want to create the content for a calendar and say, I want to get this information for all the different things that I want in a calendar, and go through and create a monthly calendar to give out to each of my customers for a pop-by. Very easy, very quick. Give me ideas for a past client event for my real estate business. Make it fun and memorable. And then boom, again, wine and paint night. Host an evening of painting and wine tasting at a local art studio or at your office. Clients can socialize, unwind, create a painting to take home as a memento of the event. These are things that take time. We're now saving it through ChatGPT. I bring things together and say, okay, there are lots of companies out there that are doing this. So whether you choose ChatGPT or whatever, it doesn't matter. ChatGPT right now is probably the most creative and most talked about version, but there's lots other. As of today, there's like 35 different AI texting companies that do this. There's lots of other companies that do lots of other, not just text, but graphics and video and lots of others. 35 texting only pieces. Okay, that's incredible. One of the things that just happened yesterday was ChatGPT 4 was released. With 4, basically, and it's only on limited release, certain people get access to it right now, but it does have a higher cost, but it does advanced reasoning, advanced understanding. It does a lot more computing. Because of that, it's also more expensive. If you use the ChatGPT or the GPT 3.5, it's like 0.002 cents per 1,000 tokens, and which is just a fraction of a penny, for 1,000, which is about 750 words. With ChatGPT 4 or GPT-4, it's actually like 3 cents to 6 cents per 1,000, and so you can, rack up a bill if you're not careful by going to the more advanced, but typically you don't need that advanced. You would need that if you're really needing to do some very high analytical type stuff. It understands better. It has a conciseness that's much higher, reasoning that's much higher, but the speed is slower. So some things to think about. Just on the heels, actually, it was on the same day, Google announced a very similar type of thing. They're incorporating AI in many of their products. the Microsoft Word is going to be doing the same thing. In this case, Google has in their Google Docs, they're creating a little piece where you can type in, I want to create a document. It'll actually help you, and it'll go through, give you the idea box. You type in your idea, and then you just hit enter, and then it goes through and it generates the content for you. Stuff for spreadsheets, stuff for slides, have it create all your slides for you automatically. These are the things that AI is going to do for us. Not to be outdone, we, RealVolve, have also created the information inside of our products, both RealVolve and FirePoint, to be able to utilize AI as well. So as an example, whenever you go into our template editor, you can click on the little AI logo. It'll go through and it'll pop up information where you can type in your prompt. You click on generate, give the response. You can then utilize that information to be able to create into your own content. Okay. So as an example, if you are a RealVolve user and you've got our newsletter, inside the newsletter, we create a newsletter for you. Maybe the wording in that newsletter is not quite the way you want it. Maybe it's just a little off for the way you talk or the way you want to represent your brand. So you could highlight that information, simply go in and say, okay, I want you to rewrite this message. And we have a little checkbox in the upper right to include the message, the message that was selected. Rewrite this message in the words of a leprechaun. And it comes back and says, top of the morning to you, and goes through and creates the entire thing. You click on OK, and it inserts that right in there. So now you've taken a stock letter and personalized it more to what your needs are. Something incredible that gives you that capability to transform what you do every day. Maybe you want to use it within SMS. We've also included the SMS capability. So you can take a message that's already there, click on the button. Maybe you want to check the sentiment of that message. You know, on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being very negative, 100 being very positive, what is the sentiment score of this message? How positive is it? And the message that already exists is a sentiment score of 80. Well, maybe I want to rewrite that message and have it a score above 90, and don't include the score. I underline that because whenever I ran this the first time, it did include the score. I didn't really want to include the score because I want to paste it right in. You can just go in there and wipe it out. I just typed it in that way. It rewrites your message and creates the sentiment above a 90. In this case, it's a 95. So it reworded it in a much more positive way, and then being able to just hit OK, and it inserts it right into the message. How easy is that? Now you can go through your entire library of all your messages, some that you created, make sure that the wording is correctly done, and also go through those stock messages that you may get from your existing software provider that isn't in your wording. Maybe it's not the way you talk, and you go through and you create it in a different format. Maybe you want to go in there and you want to create a specialized birthday message for somebody, and you go in and you give some basic information, and it goes through and it creates the birthday message. So you've got lots of capabilities for creating content. Because it's an SMS, it knows it needs to be a little shorter, so it creates it shorter. But maybe you want it even shorter. Say, bring it down to 160 characters. So it makes it even shorter. Okay. Maybe this person talks Spanish and you don't, and you want to send the birthday message in Spanish. Have the AI translate it into whatever language that you want in this case. And I don't speak Spanish, so I hope this is correct. But this is just an easy way to very quickly create good content for what we're doing here. So the question, and Dmitriy kind of said this, on one of the webinars that he did, was, will AI replace people in whatever industry. In this case, will AI replace real estate agents? Absolutely not. That is not even the right question. The actual real question is, will you embrace AI? The real estate agents, the real estate professionals that embrace and use AI, no matter whether it's ChatGPT, if it's Microsoft, if it's Google, if it's Meta, or any of the other 35 other different companies that are out there. If you embrace it, you will replace those that don't. If you don't, you will be replaced. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. If you have additional questions, you can reach me, mark@real.com. The prompts that I showed in this presentation, I also put together in our workflowsecrets.info. There's a website that I've got that has a link for prompts. All the prompts have been spelled out, so you can go there and get the information on that. You can reach me also on LinkedIn. And realistically, the thing that I hope more than anything is that you know more now about ChatGPT than when you started 40 minutes ago. So how am I doing on time? I think I just about hit it, didn't I?
Mark, yeah, we got right on time. We got about 2 minutes to go, but thank you so much. That was super insightful. Specifically on the prompt session, that's something that it took me a while to understand from ChatGPT. And, for those who are not that technical, like a prompt's kind of like a command, right?
Yep.
Per se. So yeah, I mean, and that's awesome that you provided those. I was gonna say you can probably Google some real estate prompts out there. I mean, I know people are just dropping out just PDF files with a bunch of prompts. I just downloaded one that had 350. So really unique opportunity, like you said, in my opinion. So we're gonna leave the floor open. We'll give you, the audience 1 or 2 minutes to see if they have any questions. I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind, while we wait for the questions to come in.
Absolutely.
So first question, where, I know you mentioned that they can email you, but where else can they connect with you? Twitter or LinkedIn? What's your platform of choice?
I will do LinkedIn. I will do Twitter. We have RealVolve. Whenever you go to RealVolve, you can go. There's a whole RealVolve website for or Facebook community that's there. We do have Workflow Secrets as well, which is an option for getting information about workflows and how those actually work. The thing that I want to caution a lot of people, especially agents that are using this, you brought up the prompts that you downloaded for 350. You can use ChatGPT to create prompts. And probably what they did is they went in there and said, okay, give me prompts for this. The problem with that is many times they're not engineered as well. They're very generic, and you can, while they are, good examples, you may not want to use them word for word. And in fact, one thing that you really need to be cautious of is whenever you're creating content for a property description, some of those YouTubers out there will say, okay, all you need to do is say, give me a property description on this property at this URL. Okay. ChatGPT doesn't know about the internet, not in its inherent format. There are some tools, some add-ons that you can get on there to get some additional information, but it doesn't read straight from the URL. So whenever you're getting that information, it may not be accurate. So you've got to be very cautious. Your best bet is to highlight, copy the content off of any website that you want, paste it right in, and make sure that the seeded information is exactly what you want.
Yeah, no, I've definitely run into that issue a few times. I have a Chrome extension called, I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's AIPRM.
Yes.
And basically it's a database of like prompt. I mean, that's the first thing I do when I wake up. I'm on there just to I'm like a very curious person. So I'm just trying to understand. It's so interesting. I mean, like you said, the one thing that I don't think ChatGPT can replace from a human perspective is like humanizing it, right? because it's still like a machine. It's still a robot. So you're having to make it more human still, because it doesn't have a heart or empathy.
The neat thing about AI PRM, and right now, right now it's free as far as I know. They will probably monetize that very quickly. There's thousands of prompts out there. A lot of them are less than quality, wow. But there are some really good ones in there. And spend some time in there, you can see how they're done. The neat thing about that particular one is whenever you use one, you can actually refresh your ChatGPT screen and you can see what the prompt was that was actually sent, that actually gives you better quality. So you can actually learn from the prompt itself. So it's a great resource.
Definitely, and I just saw a few questions come in. So let's see. The first one looks like from Cody. What is the best place to start on the path to adding AI to your real estate business, and perhaps email copy leads like you showed?
Yeah, a lot of things that that are out there. It's a matter of learning, and there's lots of YouTube videos and stuff like that. Definitely, check those out. If you go to Workflow Secrets, there is training available, and we have like an hour and a half training video that's out there that you can use. Get some of this content as well, and definitely take a look at it. Workflowsecrets.info.
Definitely, and obviously, reach out to Mark if you have any questions. I think it's just one of those things. At least for me, I don't know about you, Mark, but it was just like trial and error, right? I mean, like I understood the concept, but I remember the first time. I'll share a story real quickly. The first time my cousin calls me, it was back in November. It was like 6 or 7 days after ChatGPT first came out, early November. And he's like, "You're not going to believe this. I just wrote my 11-page paper in like 5 minutes." I'm like, "What? Like, you're crazy." And long story short, he got to the point where he was like, he showed it to me. I'm like, "Hold on, do that again." And he, because the beautiful part about this is that you're able to create, you generate a prompt and it gives you a response, and then you're like, "Oh, I don't like that. Regenerate it again," and it gives you a completely different one.
Yeah, that's
different content.
That is the beauty of the generative part and the transforming part, because it has all this content. All you have to do is say, give it to me again, and no matter if I ask the exact same question that you ask, we will get different answers because it's generating it. It's not just pulling it from some stored area. It's actually generating it at that moment. And you'll see some similarities at time, but it definitely is going to be different.
Yeah, I agree. And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong. So I heard that with ChatGPT 4, you're now able to you utilize video and audio as well?
Correct. So it is multimodal, which basically means I want to take a picture, take that picture and put it into, some piece of ChatGPT, and it's not available yet for everybody, but you put it in there and say, describe this photo. And it'll go through the process of describing it. The one example that they used yesterday, which was brilliant, was he wanted to create a website. And inside this website, he just hand-drawn in a notebook this kind of layout of what he wanted this website to look like. 2 buttons, a couple questions. You press a button, it gives you an answer type thing. And the prompt was, take this photo. He took a picture of the photo and take the wording of that and put that in as a prompt to generate a website from this picture. And within just a matter of seconds, it created the PHP or JavaScript code, copied, pasted in there, and boom, it was there. I mean, he did it live in just a matter of seconds to create some very good content. And it was amazing. Wow. Now, as a developer, as an engineer myself, being able to utilize and mock up information is crazy.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I'm a very analytical person myself, and I saw some crazy statistics. So when they tested the ChatGPT 4 on all the the bar exam and stuff like that, with the bar exam, it finished in the 92nd percentile. Everything else, it crushed it. So that's really interesting. The one thing that really caught my attention, and I don't know how true this is, I just saw it on Twitter. posted by multiple people that are quote unquote AI prompt engineers. They said, one of them said that the main difference is that ChatGPT 4 is 10 million times faster, which, I don't know what that looks like or if that's even true, but if that's the case, what does that mean?
You have to discern what you're hearing from a lot of these people. It is faster on some basic stuff, but it is, in my comparison, real quick, it was actually much slower, and it costs a lot more. So, use the one that's best for the purpose that you're needing it for.
Absolutely.
If it's something you're doing that's very analytical, very specific math, ChatGPT is, at least 3.5 is very bad at math. 4.0 is supposed to be much better. So take it that.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. It looks like our next speaker just came in. So I'm going to let you go. Is there any last parting words you'd like to leave our audience with, or, what's your one piece of advice for 2023?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for the real estate agents, you need to embrace AI. Definitely, if you don't have a CRM, check us out, realvolve.com, Firepoint. We have some great software for agents to be able to utilize in their business, and we're using the AI inside the systems right now. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mark. I really appreciate your time and your insight. I look forward to connecting with you offline. So I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Nice talking to you.
Likewise. Have a good one. Great. Well, that was a awesome way to start the morning, guys. Girls, what'd you think? What was your favorite part about that conversation? While I bring up my next speaker up, we have, how's it going, Sal?
Hi, Javy. Can you hear me okay?
I sure can.
Awesome.
So we have Vishal Sethi. He's the Assistant Vice President of Data, AI, and Digital Transformation at Bristleco. You will be speaking today about AI's creating real estate 3.0 industry disruptive paradigms for builders, investors, and buyers. So with you, I'll let you take the mic. You have about 40 minutes if you want to speak for about 30 to 35 and leave the last 5 or 10 minutes for Q&A.
Sure thing. I might be practically done a little earlier than 30 minutes for sure.
Okay, no problem. Well, we'll leave that more for Q&A then.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Javy. Thanks, Javy. I'm just about to share my screen. And Javy, remind me from the last time, I think I'm sharing the entire screen, right? Is it Windows or do you know? So I have 3 options here, just quickly, and I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing.
You should. So it should be the little screen in the middle, the little camera or the computer with the up arrow. Click there.
No, I'm in there, and then it says.
You are? I see. So if you can just share your entire screen, that would be great. If not, then you can just share a window. I don't know. That should be fine.
I see. Can you see my screen or you can't?
Yes. Can you make it full screen?
I did it right now. Is it work? Do you see full screen?
Not yet. Let me see.
Okay.
There should be a little play button somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Do it again.
Yeah, from the beginning, or either one. You should go into like full view mode. If you click over on view, you see where view is, the third to last.
Mm-hmm.
And then you should be able to do. Can't see that.
Maybe. Okay.
The display settings. You might have to change some settings.
Yes. No worries. Let me try. I'm sharing the entire screen. Maybe that'll work. Let me see this. Let me know if it works.
Perfect. Looks good.
Awesome. All right. So do you want me to get going, Javy?
Please. Floor is yours.
Awesome. So, all right, welcome everyone for this wonderful event, and we will talk about how artificial intelligence, as Javy said, is kind of leveraged across the realm of the industry, and I'll cover about some specific trends all across how AI is driving real estate enterprises, how it's impacting the whole new trend of smarter homes, and so on. But just before jumping into the presentation, a few words about me. Technology evangelist. I'm an influencer and author. Speak in several events, Gartner, Economist, and several, especially on AI. And I've been a product leader in this space for almost a couple of decades now. And I've worked for some great companies in the past, bringing the products to life. And at any point in time, I can help you, no matter who you might be, a real estate company or a corporation. I can help you formulate AI strategy to get more value for your business. The key trends. I'm going to keep it short and succinct. So AI is making a huge difference, and many of us, we might already be living our lives today consuming these smart devices, interacting with these smart devices at our homes. I invest in homes, and I recently got one in California, a new one built by Shea Homes, and I was surprised. It was relatively a newer home, but right from the new build stage, the home offered me a lot of convenience. For an example, all my appliances were Alexa operated; they were voice operated. They gave me an inbuilt platform. Of course, it was one of the startup company that's kind of that had lent them their platform, a cloud platform, on which I could analyze my own consumption data for all these appliances, no matter what, so as to understand my energy consumptions, and even beyond. And I'm going to cover that in some of the slides down the presentation. So smart homes are getting more and more common. And question then is, what difference would it make to the lives of the people and corporations and investors, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. AI-driven real estate company, no matter whether you be a small realtor company or one of those biggest real estate company, and we've heard about Zillow attempting to buy homes at one point in time at scale using AI, and then followed the Open Door. I don't know how many of you invest, but Open Door is one of my favorite companies, and I think the shares will come back. Very unique model, and it's interesting how data is empowering these companies to identify optimal opportunities and align it with your investment appetite and profile, and thus making the whole process extremely super efficient and scalable, right? So we'll talk a little more about AI, how AI is impacting the entire real estate enterprises end to end, almost disrupting it in a way that we have seen in real retail so far. And then communities of future. What I mean by communities of future here is there's lots of smart buildings coming up. Google's building a smart city itself in San Jose, California. It's just a matter of time, they're building a smart campus. Toronto downtown in Canada is also partnered with Google and several other technology companies to shape up a new smart city. And so to Dubai, a lot of things are happening in that area, that how from buildings to these massive communities are now planning to rely on artificial intelligence and relevant converging technologies to be self-sustainable, to be energy efficient and smarter. And finally, and among all, I wanted to emphasize on these 4 trends, which as for me are the most compelling trends, where AI is making a difference in real estate industry. Smarter construction, no matter if it be remote monitoring or design optimization at a very early stage. Construction companies are also benefiting from AI in a way like never before. So So let's jump right into it. And this is more of a presentation where I'm going to inspire you with some breadth of different use cases and the ideas behind how technology is making a difference to bring those use cases to life. And then, as a follow-up, feel free to contact me, or at any point in time, would be happy to continue the conversation. So when you think of real estate enterprises, now, obviously, if it's for them, selling is a very unique process. It's not like CPG, it's not like retail, a typical retail company, but homes are either investors may buy homes. When we are buying homes for ourselves, it's a very tedious process. No one buys homes, on a fly with an instinct. It's a unique process, right? And that's where data is making a huge difference. What if I was to offer you, a home, and along with the home information based on like how much square footage it has and what kind of appliances? What if I was to give you a data sheet helping you understand if you're putting down certain amount of money in this house today, even if you're not an investor, if you're just a retail home buyer, how home as an asset is going to look like as a financial asset 5 years, 10 years down the road. How over a period of time, the technologies that I'm offering you along with the home will help you save your energy, and thus resulting in hundreds of thousands of dollars of savings in your energy consumption versus the previous traditional home that you've been living in. So that's the trend we are kind of looking at from a selling and buying perspective. Now you can predict returns on investment for a specific home, for a specific buyer in a specific zip code, thanks to the power of the data. And then I can predict and help you understand and rationalize how smart appliances and smart devices, from sensors to cloud platforms, will help you manage, remotely monitor, and optimize your house energy efficiencies and many other aspects using data and remote and smarter technologies, right? Now, recommendation is another powerful trend that's emerging, and early adopters, I would say the captures were Zillow and Opendoor, wherein they could look into buyer's profile, especially if you're a retail investor or a wholesale investor, and then start recommending you properties. Typically, when you watch a Netflix video and a YouTube video, the movies recommended to you, there's a different approach taken, but a very similar approach has now been taken by these large retail real estate companies to look at what's an average, investment size that you've been investing in for quite some time. What are the zip codes where you've been, your portfolio is concentrated? Much of that data can then be utilized, and what kind of homes seems to be your most popular and favorite homes in terms of average size, in terms of the build or the builder in a specific area. And based on this data, content or collaborative techniques could be ensemble to build recommender systems, and thus the homes could be recommended. And as you know, like it's a feedback process. There's there's reinforcement learning involved. Once recommended, if it results in selling, then your recommender system it learns on itself, feed forward, learning that this was a good recommendation and so on, right? So no matter what, if it be geography, postal codes, as you would see that so many blogs are spurring up. If you were to look into hot zip codes, where the next investment trends reside. Being I'm not that big an investor, but being an investor, I do, get very, I feel I benefit a lot from data now, and much of the data now, it's also easily available, readily available. So you can always think before time and taking advantage of it. Even from, as I mentioned earlier, so, if you're buying, if you're investing, even things such as rent, if you're buying a home today and renting it out because that's your strategy, you're buying, renting, and holding a property or a portfolio of property, apartment buildings, commercial buildings. Now AI can help you even predict future rent, and we all, many of you would be aware of regression and rolling forecasts and numerous techniques using which you can predict. But you can now predict rent going forward, quarterly and yearly. Especially, is very, very powerful, I would say, feature for investor companies and even things such as REITs, because that, based on those future predictions, it could be month out, a quarter out, and year out, they can adjust the promise on returns on their profit and balance sheets. A great tool for CFOs in the real estate companies to manage their budgets, and at the same time their earnings reports. Similarly, the sale prices could also be predicted now. Earlier, most of the times municipalities were assessing and evaluating the homes, but now the power is coming in the hands of companies themselves, because they can now gather so much data 360 degree and start predicting sales prices. I already mentioned about identifying emerging markets. And another smart, very interesting thing is blockchains coming alive, and I think it's very at the tipping point. It might take 2 to 3 years, and then as soon as we are out from some of this new recent crypto burst, which I personally believe it will revive and crypto will become an alternative unit of currency, global, worldwide, and there are reasons behind it, and not beyond the scope of the presentation today. But blockchain offers a great and efficient transactional possibility for real estate buying, especially for wholesalers as well as for retail buyers. It can enable immutable transactions, reduce the risk of fraud. I'm not sure if you're watching the news. I just watched the news yesterday in California, and the title frauds kind of trending up. A lot of guys, I've worked in the bank in the past, and then we've been, there are different kind of frauds that entails real estate industry, such as straw home buying or title fraud buying and so on, where someone lands up selling your house by producing a fraudulent title, and the homeowner himself or herself doesn't even know his or her home sold. So that's kind of scary, right? So the blockchain and an AI can then imagine it can protect the title. It can reduce the risk of fraud by 4 times. So title companies can leverage such kind of data and validate whether or not title's accurate or not, etc., etc. And at the end of the story, it's a lot of companies are even now offering real estate transact. If you were to buy a home, you could buy it today with the least amount of agencies involved. I'm not sure how many of you have been buying homes recently, but it's a tedious process. It takes a few days, a lot of transactions involved in terms of money transfers, signing a lot of documents. A lot of online platforms are coming up, and including blockchain, where the transaction could be, just like how Rocket Mortgage simplified the mortgage at a click of a button. A lot of platforms now are moving in the direction where even home purchase is getting simplified, and the whole user journey is getting more and more smoother. A lot of interesting startups. I just want you to kind of at least check them out. IBM has come up with this criteria that sort of manages and cuts space wastage, no matter what kind of real estate management company you may be, commercial or residential. These amazingly smart tools, and thanks to AI, even despite of we all experiencing this, going through this soft landing, so-called economic downturn of the cycle. I was talking to one of my lawyer's friend recently, and she works for this investment, the VC firm, one of the most renowned VC firm in Silicon Valley. And she was surprisingly telling me that AI traction is still there. The money's moving in real estate. Housing is another one that finds you realtor faster. And as I mentioned, a lot of these technologies behind the scenes, like recommendation, you can, these kind of applications, they understand who you are and helps you find a realtor faster based on what exactly you might be looking for. Sometimes this reduces that haggling of you going through evaluating a bunch of realtors before settling upon one, right? Very, very, I would love you to check it out. They're very smart selected tools that I put forward. Rex is they just like I said, they enable faster transactions for real estate, and so you could potentially find and buy a home without a realtor. So AI could be your realtor. AI could be your home buying advisor, and we're moving in the direction a little early from an adoption standpoint and maturity standpoint, but still, this trend is accelerating fast. And I think in about 5 years, 25-30% of transactions would happen, on the ownership of retail buyers, with no realtors getting involved. Compass, a great realtor company, we all are aware, Zillow and Compass, they heavily use personalized recommendation. And just like as we see, Netflix has come a far way from the time they started, becoming an online blockbuster to bring and introduce new content. Companies like Compass and Zillow, they are using recommendation systems behind the scene. I built recommender systems for certain companies. Big fan of this technology and the concepts that go behind it. Now, keep in mind that the power of AI products that I've mentioned in the last presentation as well, and these products have learning effects. They have this power of learning from every interaction that's happening, and thus over a period of time, just like Google, although ChatGPT is revolutionizing the whole idea of search, but I personally believe and think that Google would still remain intact and maintain its leadership position. And the reason being is the amount of data they've ended up accumulating and collecting and learning from over such a long period of time. They were the most earliest successful engine that people have started relying on. And thus, as more and more people rely on using Google, imagine how many of you use Bing today. So although ChatGPT would empower Bing, but the question is how many would you use it, right? So the similarly personalized recommendations for Zillow and companies like Compass, they are accumulating a knowledge asset, leveraging AI, which in future will give them great competitive advantage. And if you ever were kind of wanting to build any strategies around how to build data as an asset, how to build AI as an asset, how to get it valued, how to architect your products. I'm here to help. Bristlecone also helps you with architecting a lot of solutions. Smart homes. So quickly jumping on my next trend, we have two more to cover, and I'll go a little faster now, looking at the clock. No matter whether it be security, overall security of the homes, thanks to AI, we can sleep at peace of mind if you're away on a vacation, if you have multiple homes. More and more securitized features are coming up on the surface at a very reasonable cost. It's very common these days for us to use an app on your mobile phone to open your doors, and smart rent, this and that. There's so many smarter apps. I'm just mesmerized, So from smarter locks to remote cameras, which in turn are smarter with the edge computing and AI embedded capabilities. So imagine if something anomalous or unusual is happening at your, outside the home, maybe behind in the backyard, in your community, at least wherever your cameras are. Your camera you don't need to watch the camera all the time. Your camera is itself intelligent thanks to the edge computing and AI, and it can trigger an alarm for you. And hey, something's wrong if it captures a face, which is unusual. And a lot of this could be configured, and a lot of this is off the shelf, so you don't need to worry about it. A lot of great companies offer you that technology. They've already configured these rules of what it means unusual, and they will trigger alarms for you, or they'll send you a text message. All convenient ways you can be rest assured about having your home being secured. And with this security, your insurance also kinds of goes down. The better security you have with AI, lesser cost of insurance. So I would say that great opportunity both for builders and retail home buyers today to be more to have more very higher a convenience than ever before, thanks to AI. Second big area is appliances and energy utilizations. So imagine the moment you walk into the home, the lights turn on its own, whichever zones of the home. If you have a bigger home, based on your movement, the sensors will turn on the right time and the moment you need it, thus saving you energy. Or when you a lot of possibilities are there, like even when you were not in the house, and then there's no movement at all, you're sleeping or resting, these smart sensors can turn the right lights off. uh, More and more homes are now having automated vacuum cleaners embedded in the house itself, automated HVAC systems who can then sense any given time the air quality, the temperature of your house, to self-adapt and save you money. Instead of keeping the HVAC on all the times, maybe air conditioning or heat, they can turn it on and off while on its own, to make sure that you're comfortable at the temperature you wanted it to be at. And I'm talking about advanced feeling. I in this new home of mine, there's even a humidity sensor. So if you're getting out of the shower and suddenly, because you've taken a shower, an open glass concept, so you have this higher humidity in your washroom area. So then on its own, the fan turns on to suck all the humidity away from your room. So you see those kind of smarter devices, they will act on demand in the moment of need, saving you a lot of energy, and also kind of giving you that pampered feeling with the kind of great and cool lifestyle. And finally, if you were charging your Teslas in the house, your EV chargers, your smart thermostats, and lots of, the fun part is that depending on to what extent you wanna leverage AI, and that's what one of my vision is, to democratize artificial intelligence. No matter who you are, if you're a realtor, if you're just a home buyer, if you're a real estate company, I want all of you to understand and know how can you use AI to make your life a better life, make your business a better enterprise. So a lot of this data today, even if you just happen to have a home, it doesn't need to be a smart home, but you can there are a lot of general contractors available who can upgrade your homes at a very reasonable cost, get them smarter for you, and plug in a lot of data, like weather data and all that data. And using that data, now you can, your house, and you can predict your energy bills, and then it automatically responds. So the really powerful features. I just wanted to. So this is one of my favorite topics, because I myself like to use and leverage a lot of smart features in my smart home. A lot of startups are surfacing again. Occupus Energy, it gives you a cloud-based platform to monitor and optimize your solar pricing. Solar pricing works in a very unique way. If many of you, depending on which part of the country you live in, in California, solar pricing is very popular, but it's a new concept. Many people don't understand, and then this Occupus makes it more obvious. Even your multiple homes or a single home, if you're corporations owning homes, it's a platform using which you can optimize your solar, energy billing data. DeepMind from Google also have energy efficiency solutions for smarter homes and buildings. And that's where I think Google's leveraging some of those technologies for their own upcoming buildings, to kind of smarten the efficiency, energy management of those buildings. STEM is also, energy storage is another concept which is trending up both at the retail residential level and commercial residential level, commercial real estate level, where what if you could store, the energy of your home. So one is you can tap into solar, but when solar's running, it's costing you money. But if you could store it, then it's a big win-win for everyone, including environment, including your cost, the appliance fatigue, and so on. So this is one trend that you definitely want to check out. It's a very cool trend. And thanks to Tesla and some of its battery innovation and many other battery innovating companies, that they're exploring a lot of lithium batteries to store and many other ideas and sort of self-sustainable grids to store energy within your home or smart buildings. Nest Labs is also is a very smart startup offering self-learning thermostats who learn over a period of time and then thus optimize. Else, just tipping off based on one simple parameter, one simple data point, let's say temperature, thermostat turns off and on based on temperature. That isn't enough. I think your home has way more data points to consider to be smarter. So, humidity, air pressure, and so on. And you wouldn't realize it how much impact it has on your health and on the life of the cycle of the home itself. So a lot of cool startups there. The smart home market is predicted to almost go beyond $222 billion by 2027, and expecting 12% of the homes worldwide to be smarter. About 25 to 30% of the homes in the US today, in some form and shape, they use a smart device. And as you see, there are a lot of these companies, some cool products which are coming out in the market are this Aibo dog from Sony, and then LG has another robot, that's a home assistant, and it can do a lot of things for you. So these are the great devices coming up in this specific area, which are like better than Alexa and Google Home, and I think there's a potential for you to position yourself, better and better in those areas too. And all these companies, as you see, whether it be smart shutters, so based on the sunlight outside, the shutters would change the grade of how much amount of sunlight they want to filter in, so that you just feel comfortable, you don't feel too hot or less hot, and thus you save your air conditioning costs as well. So the smart shutters, smart lighting, smarter door locks, and as you see all these brands from Modena to Yale, I've kind of given you some references here. They're thanks to them, they're building such smarter products which are making a difference in your day-to-day life. Quickly jumping on to AI-powered communities of the future. 80% of the new buildings involve at least some aspect of the smart technology in US today. That's quite a big number, and these are the 5 areas where these smarter communities, as I personally believe, whether they be just apartment or commercial buildings or cities in totality. I haven't covered so many aspects of smarter cities here because it's a very massive and complex concept. One of my favorite concepts, And again, I've been involved with several states, including Pittsburgh, etc., in strategizing some behind the scene, ideas around automated traffic control and all. But here we'll focus just on the smarter communities, AI-powered smarter communities of future. So one of the trend is smart energy storage. I've already kind of mentioned it to you. Check out Wasatch. Wasatch. It's a great company, and their own headquarters, to set an example, has its own energy storage and a self-generating power grid. And it's a powerful and fascinating use case that they've brought to life by demonstrating leadership, by having their own building, using that storage, energy storage. It's a great trend picking up. And Wasatch offers overall a lot of smart building, management, AI-driven empowered management features worth checking out. Smart space utilization, so a lot of this computer vision and several technologies have come together today and thanks to the hybrid working model, a lot of people come to office and not so AI can start analyzing your space utilization and start making recommendations to you. Voila, that's incredible, right? And I think given the post-COVID scenario, in the post-COVID world, all of us, no matter if you're a leader managing a team or if you are a real estate commercial building owner, or corporation managing several buildings, you want to look into smart utilization of your workspace, resulting in better impact of better cost management and higher profitabilities. So a lot of scope there. You can, most of the buildings sometimes do have sensors that you can leverage, or these installations are relatively simple that then can leverage AI for predicting and recommending, space utilizations. AI-powered windows, I mentioned it already. Those windows could be, especially for commercial buildings, imagine the intensity of the energy usage most of the times all through the day. It's massive commercial buildings, here in San Francisco, New York, Toronto, Canada, so imagine that your glass tinting can be, can change its grade based on the sunlight outside, and thus saving your heat consumption, or air conditioning co-consumption, thus resulting in very great saving of energy and reduced carbon footprint. So 75F, a very smart AI startup there. We'll love you to check it out. Automated HVAC is pretty simple. As I said, HVAC should start being smarter beyond just the temperature. So HVACs can sense overall the quality of air and temperature and your conditions within the building, inside conditions, and then they're becoming more and more smarter to turn things off and on, or to tune the air condition of your living space based on what you're comfortable with and what are the benchmarking sort of optimal conditions. And last thing I would like to quickly cover on this slide was sensor monitors. So a lot of motors are also sensor operated now. So AI triggers these motors in the moment of need to make things happen. As I was talking about, shutters going up and down, doors, etc., lights. So a lot of these sensors are now AI and IoT, along with some of the smart devices that gives you this empowered AI. So you don't need admins to monitor these massive buildings of yours, right, and communities of yours. AI can self-monitor your community of living, ensuring to pursue a goal of keeping the energy consumption is in check. Preventing accidents with computer vision is so much possible with AI to foster and incubate and then scale these communities of future. Apple headquarters, I said there's a new $5 billion one coming up, and even in their previous headquarter building, I like the fact that they use AI for energy management. And what it does is there is smart microgrid itself, so which generates, stores, and distributes energy. And the interesting part is the new headquarter that they're coming up with is naturally ventilated, and AI monitors these grid openings, these vent openings, and so much around. Like, I'm just simplifying and dumbing it down, but it does it to ensure that 60% of the time the building isn't even using HVAC. Imagine that. It's a very completely new direction that AI is giving to sustainable buildings. So it's not just lead, and it's not just sustainability. It's the cost, but it becomes a very important parameter when you have these massive buildings or campuses, right? So for all the corporations, especially for the builders, you want to explore more of those AI technologies and solutions around energy management. Just some inspiration. Similarly, London Crystal Building is a great example. It monitors weather conditions. It has smarter windows, smarter heating systems, and thus it manages this heating bill to near zero. Right? Isn't that kind of a great inspiration? And of course, less of carbon footprint, which again I would say that is a great way of, no matter who you are, if you're a corporation or a building company, to sort of respect the whole idea of this respecting the planet and sustainability of the planet by saying, hey, we can keep our heating bills to near zero. So just last couple of slides, I'm almost done here. So new workspace manager is your AI now. So think of AI as a new workspace manager. And I would really like you to check out these two startups, one of which I work with, Verge Sense and Go Space. Workspace, looks into the worker utilization of the office space, no matter what, if you're a manufacturing company or if you're just a services company where people used to sit in their cubicles or, their zones, or if you're a marine manufacturing company where you need to apply some work motion study, and then people might be sitting across different zones, interacting with different material, machines, and so some of these, these products are great for you to leverage from a workspace utilization perspective, right? Because imagine if a team had to do it, how many pictures will have to take of these massive factories or buildings? It's virtually either impossible, it can lead to human fatigue and very suboptimal decisions, versus imagine AI now actively leveraging computer vision and some of the advanced technology and a lot of, I would say, and AI isn't just a software, a lot of hardware, software, and then connected networking devices that need to go in to bring these solutions to life. But thanks to a lot of invention, innovation that even companies like NVIDIA is doing in this area, where they help you. I personally built a drone-based inspection for a construction company, remote inspection, and we were leveraging a lot of different technologies, again beyond the scope of this presentation, but I can double click and give you a deep dive as you happen to reach out to me. Go Space again is a real-time space allocation, so it not just monitors and analyzes the space utilization, it gives you real-time prediction of space utilization. Think about that. And of course, if you don't understand data science and AI behind it, that's fine. But these kind of allocations are straightforward and simple, given that you have the processes streamlined. So this was one thing I wanted to emphasize, that among many other aspects that we looked into of how AI is sort of empowering building management, and from security to energy to overall lifestyle impact, generating a lot of data to talk to its residents, no matter if it's a house, a commercial building, a time-wide would come. It's already, there's some sample use cases in London and Toronto where buildings are talking to residents, guiding them and hand holding them like a buddy, from time to time based on which zone they might be in. So imagine the world soon, like 10 years from now, will be in that world where you would be interacting with the AI, which is behind the scenes in the buildings and in your houses, to take help for navigation, for energy management, to just feel better, turning the mood on, you want better different lightings and all that. So that's all coming, it's all there, but all these technologies will become mainstream thanks to a lot of convergence, as I call it, or factors which are bringing this technology together to bring down the cost. So this is the last slide for today. AI for construction. As I was telling, I built one of the solutions for a large aircraft company and a construction company for using drones, and then a lot of associated technologies, including computer vision, to inspect. Let's say in case of a construction company, you can remotely inspect the progress of a building time to time. So oftentimes when, let's say, I've bought some apartments or condominiums from these large branded builders, and then often they send you these updates of how many floors are being built and how, as the construction progresses, there needs updates for customers. They also need to monitor themselves. Especially for the management, it's a great way to validate, and monitor progress. It also can prevent, and of course, computer vision can go beyond just monitoring. It can then, also help you, as we all know, prevent hazards, near misses. Time to time, it can watch and, sort of almost predict in time potential accidents and warn human beings, promoting overall safety and well-being. And then, of course, the drawing and design optimization, thanks to AI-driven, Autodesk is a great example. I personally know the CEO, Mark. Great startup. They're doing just great, and it's a great example how you can pick an existing area of an application and then embed AI in it to add value and take it to a different level, right? So a lot of construction companies and architect companies are leveraging them. If they're not, they must leverage AI, but they are leveraging AI to optimize the designs prior hand. And the difference that is that it's not just a two-dimensional or three-dimensional drawing. AI can run scenarios to help them plan their construction time to time, given that here they have less manpower, more manpower because situations change, thanks to the supply chain disruption, thanks to this new state of our, very disrupted, I would say, volatile state of society and business ecosystems. You have to make faster decisions given the new situation, intelligently, and then AI can help you do that. In this case, it can help you plan your workforce, come out near ways of, not withholding the progress of construction, or even at a design stage, optimize your design by running through numerous scenarios uh, and plugging in all of these AI different technologies that I was talking about, thanks to this new way of thinking through design, where you can plug in, the smart appliances possibilities in your scenario modeling to see, hey, now given all of this together, what would be, my average energy quotient or efficiency, monthly or quarterly going further. You can literally simulate living environments, and then kind of factor it back in your design. So it's very, very, so imagine buildings are of such nature that once you move forward, it's very difficult to come back, versus software applications where you can iterate, at least to a certain extent, to build an agile construct. Buildings, it wasn't possible, but thanks to modular construction and this new way of design optimization, that's making it possible. So that's pretty much. Feel free to reach out to me. Vishal at vishalsethi.com, Vishal at startupomega.com. I render free board advice. I'm on board with several AI startups, and much of my intent here is to give back. I've been AI is what I'm passionate about, and my idea is to give back as much as I can. I've earned tremendous experience and respect in the industry, and would love to give it back in whichever way you want. Thank you.
Vishal, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. We did go over time a little bit, so we won't be able to go through questions just because we're over time. But if someone wants to connect with you, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, what works best for you?
Sure. Thank you, Javy. Appreciate you
Yeah, thank
being
you
here.
for joining us today and all the awesome information.
Awesome. Please continue, and great show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everybody. Sorry we ran over a little bit late. We have Mr. Bobby Bryant up next. Bobby, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you for asking. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm sorry we're over a little bit, so I want to give you the floor. I'm going to let you give your own introduction, if that's okay. But thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to hand over the mic to you.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much. Bobby Bryant here, and you know what? I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot from both Mark and Vishal as I listen into what these guys share, talking about ChatGPT 4 that just was released, how to use it, and also from Vishal talking about the different solutions. I want to take a different approach than those two gentlemen. In regards to brokerage, the next 10 years. But what I want to say out the gate, as I listen, and a lot of you guys that may be watching this session today, is I'm of the belief that technology alone, although, and I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about myself, but that technology alone without a compelling and complementary business model and method is actually, I believe, is counterproductive. These two sides must be intentionally baked and built into whatever solution that we see for our companies, and everyone who works throughout our organization understanding what that solution, what our unfair advantage is and isn't, and to be able to go out here and provide these efforts, these solutions, these services to consumers and practitioners alike, making all of our jobs, easier, more efficient and effective. And maybe somewhere in the process, it saves the organization and or consumer and agents and brokerages for that matter, time and money. So no, guys, Bobby Bryant here. About me, I am the CEO and co-founder of DOS, which is an Amazon and Google-backed digital real estate super app designed to better centralize, democratize, and humanize big data for the largest asset class in the world, which is real estate. Our development empowers users to speak, text, or type any question about any property in the country to get accurate, easy, and instant answers as they search, service, and transact all things home in the palm of their hand. And so, again, this whole, session and event is about technology and how is it going to impact real estate. And again, we've heard some from both Mark and Vishal. We've heard some great, content. And again, taking a bit of a different approach in regards to brokerages. We talk about agents and how different tools and technology can empower them to better serve their clients. But you know what? I want to take a step back and I want us to think about, well, what about the brokerages? How does all of this technology impact brokerage companies? What do they do, or what should they do? I remember when we were building our company at DOS, we started off as a real estate technology company, a prop tech, with no agents at all. And this was back in 2015, 2016. And I'm reminded about how we were building out our technology and the solutions we had in mind to provide, what the problems we wanted to solve, right? And along that journey, as we were creating this technological platform, this digital real estate search engine that's going to be a recommendation search and task engine, all governed and mobilized by artificial intelligence. And when we say AI, a lot of times for people that sounds like this big old thing. And I don't know if people really understand holistically, like, well, what is AI? And the term artificial intelligence, a lot of times is thrown out like this generic thing. And yet it has so many different components and pieces to it. Some companies may use a little AI. Some don't use it at all. Most of our current search engines out there, most of them don't use a lot of AI, if you will. And when we were putting together DOS, our objective was to, how do we mobilize everything that artificial intelligence has to offer? Image recognition, speech to text, text to speech, machine learning. How can we put this all into a search experience, as I said in my bio, that better centralizes, democratizes, and really humanizes the way we search for homes and move us beyond the box and empowers the consumer, especially millennials who are the largest purchasers of homes, and our upcoming Gen Z, who the oldest is 24, when a lot of us bought our first home at 24 years old. I know I did. And when we look at what we were creating in terms of this super app, this artificial intelligence digital assistant built into this marketplace, we learned a lot on the journey to accomplish that, and that ended up also empowering us to cross the chasm over to, okay, great. If we're going to evolve the way people search and transact real estate, we have to make sure that we have a business method and model that complements, right, the technological platform in the pursuit of not having a bolted on solution, right? But again, baked in and built, into our solution. And then we start, testing and sampling, and interviewing and surveying, What do agents want? What are some of the problems that brokerages are dealing with? Solutions that are out there, and what are they doing? How is that helping the brokerage? How is that taking away from the brokerage, right? And this is what I wanted to talk about today. Although DOS is a real estate technology company, we have the other side to it, which is the business side. I want to add this component. I don't know how many of you have ever watched *Halt and Catch Fire*. It was on Netflix, and it was a beautiful with Joe McMillan, who made a statement. He made a beautiful statement. And the guys walked up to him and they were just like, technology, 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 right? It's so easy for us to just blab all of that out and lose people. And they're like, oh my gosh, it sounds awesome, but okay, I don't know how to use it. I don't know where to start. It was interesting, Joe McMillan's response. And he said, see, you guys think technology is the thing. Now, this is coming from a guy, who is a CEO and co-founder of a technology company. See, you guys think technology is the thing. It's not the thing. Technology is the thing that gets you to the thing. And although this was a throwback movie, he's exactly correct, right? Technology alone is not totally the thing. It's the thing that gets us to the thing, especially in a service industry called real estate, right? And going to the slide here. So what will the future of brokerages look like in this next era? As Vishal mentioned, the 3.0 of real estate. As Mark mentioned, you start talking about ChatGPT. But before we look at those things, trying to figure out how do we apply these technologies to our specific use cases, right? The real estate industry has been historically agent-centric, right? Historically agent-centric, meaning that a brokerage just served the agent, provided maybe the agent some tools or maybe none at all. And then the agent used those tools or the tools they saw fit. And then they provided the service to the consumer, right? Agent-centric. And I think over the years, you've seen a lot of models in the real estate industry come and go, right? We have companies that tried to disrupt that. We have companies that were in a pursuit of how do I turn around and we give the agent everything they need and we remain agent-centric, because the bulk of the brokerages today remain agent-centric. In a world that's rapidly evolving, right? The average realtor is 55 years old. The oldest millennial is in their late 40s, right? But yet the millennial generation is the largest purchasers of homes. So if we're dealing with a generation of realtors that's teetering between Gen Xers and baby boomers with a certain mentality, rightfully so, right? But then yet now you have this tech savvy generation with millennials, and then now we have entering the market Gen Z, who's the first generation born after the internet was founded. We have to take those factors into consideration because rightfully so, these generations are different as they move further into home buying age and the different stages, right? So if we're going to look at that data and understand it and how these generations impact the industry, how these generations look at technology, how they view it, but we have an industry that is a little resistant, right? Because historically what has also happened is the real estate industry doesn't understand tech, and tech didn't understand real estate. And that may be the gridlock that we had as an industry, right? Because we all are wondering, why has the real estate industry gone so far, so long without being disrupted? Because it's antiquated, guys. It's antiquated, it's fragmented, and the objective via technology is to stitch all that together, right? And I know that's what our objective is at DOS. But historically, brokerages have been agent-centric. But I want you guys to think about some of the future, the current technologies and some of the other verticals. You look at companies like an Uber, who has figured out how to not just serve just the taxi industry, but what they've done is create a solution that says, hey, our objective is to give the driver a great experience and also the rider. And then how do we bring those guys together, right? We could say the same thing about Airbnb, and we could say the same thing about Amazon. These companies figured out how to serve two masters, if you will. Whereas the real estate industry has actually historically told us you can't do that, right? And so does the future of real estate, does the future of brokerage, is that a situation to where brokerages need to look at their models and potentially scrap the old traditional way of doing business, where they just focused on the agent, right? Because I put here at the bottom of that slide, why? Because agents are changing. Just like majority of the buyers today are millennials, a lot of these millennials are also entering the real estate workforce to become realtors. They think different, they function different, they use technology different, right? And the same thing with Gen Z. I know at our brokers, we're having a lot of guys and gals that are coming in straight out of college and or high school that are wanting to become realtors, right? These guys don't get on Facebook, for example, right? This younger generation, TikTok, Instagram, and all of us old heads are on Facebook. So we had to create solutions at our company. Well, how do we communicate and engage and whole new audience of realtors that don't even get on Facebook and some of these other vehicles that we communicate, back and forth. So we had to get those solutions, create those solutions. Again, guys, they're different. And I'm just using that as an example. So what do you think the future of brokerages, what will that look like in the next 10 years, right? Do you think that we could keep going down the same path that we've historically, gone down, all right? Or do you believe that we need to have more of a agent and consumer centric, meaning that just like the Ubers and the Amazons and the Airbnbs, should brokers now create a model to where they bring together the consumer and their agents? Should they create these systems? Well, let me put it to you this way. If you don't, there'll be more companies like Estately. There'll be more companies like the Mavotos Ojo Labs. There will be more companies like Realtor.com with OpCity that builds that bridge. And the 35% that they are charging, they will extract that out of the commission earned if brokers don't start creating their own solutions in their own communities to go directly to the consumer. Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that gave you something to think about. What is the future of brokerage offices? Wow. So I get this question a lot on several podcasts that I'm on. Bobby, do you think that going virtual is the solution? Bobby, what do you think about offices today? What do you think about offices in the past? Historically, I'll say we've done it wrong. We've done it wrong. I've flown throughout the country. I have broker friends throughout the country. I walk into offices that are 6,000, 7,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet offices, and to only see 3 to 10 people in the office at any given time. Historically, real estate offices are bulky, and they were created for agents. But then, just like anything else in our country, any industry in our country, when something doesn't work or an incident happens or takes place, we are very extreme and we go to the right or to the left, right? Oh my gosh, we're just going to go from having these 3,000, 15,000 square foot offices to no office at all, right? Yeah, go virtual. This company is doing it, and look at them. They grew to XYZ number of agents. Oh, they're doing it, right? But does it make it right? Is it the answer? Is it the answer for your office? Is it the answer for the community of agents in your area, right? I mean, I think we have to take in consideration, okay, great. I'm in Manhattan. I'm in Houston, Texas. I may be in LA versus I'm in Idaho Falls, Idaho, or I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, where things may be a little different. What we have to do is take in consideration our agents, our community, and what they need. Because there are pros and cons, obviously, to everything, correct? And so when we start talking about the brokerage of the future and technology, yes, we have things like Zoom, we have Google Meets, and we can do virtual calls, and we can get on our mobile devices, and we could do FaceTime, and we could do these things that saves us time instead of having to get in our car and drive across town. Or, yeah, you're right, we can go sit into a Starbucks and we can do that. as well. However, we have to ask ourselves, how does this impact the culture that I'm trying to build at my brokerage? See, because in my opinion, virtual is awesome. I think creating a hybrid approach is the smartest thing to do. Create a hybrid approach, right? Meaning that maybe the office no longer needs to be 10,000 square feet. Maybe it needs to be somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet. Maybe we need to build an office that's designed for both the agent and the consumer, right? And then we could be more impactful. We can have an office that's set up for people to be virtual, mobile, remote. I just want a place that I know I can come to, right? I can meet my client. I just need to get out of the house. My husband's driving me crazy. My wife's driving me crazy. The kids are too loud. The dog keeps barking. Whatever the reason is, and I don't want to have to go into Starbucks and feel pressured to buy a $6 coffee. I just want to be able to go into the office, maybe get some coffee at the office or bring my own drink. But I think we need to look at this thing in more of a hybrid approach. I can really appreciate Robert Reffkin for Compass, who mentioned that virtual offices can actually be a culture killer, right? We see a lot of different technology CEOs throughout the country that are requiring their workers to come back into the office. Why? It's because it takes a hit on the culture of the office. I know our brokerage gets a lot of agents who come from some of the more virtual offices saying, I feel like I'm on an island by myself. Yes, everything is digital, virtual, and that's great, that's cool, but I'm a human and I need to connect with people. See, guys, we have to think that if we take this extreme approach, we end up missing on a whole category of people because everybody doesn't learn the same. With myself being an ex-school teacher, I understand the different types of learners, right? And everybody isn't online, right? Some people need to be sat down and they need to be shown exactly what to do, and they need that in touch. But we're extreme as humans, and we're always thinking future forward, but we don't do a good job of transitioning people. We just go left, right, and we have to slow down and ask ourselves, survey our agents, survey the people that we work with in the community, and ask them, what do you believe you need and want right now? Now, here's the other thing. A lot of times, in the word of Steve Jobs, people don't know what they want until you create it. I believe that as well. But when we talk about our own brokerage and our crack and crevice of the country, we have to not look at what somebody's doing out of San Francisco and I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi, or what have you. I have to turn around and create what's best for my type of agents in my community, in my territory, in my area. And that's what I would challenge, everybody to do. Figure that out. What does your clients need and want from their broker in their area? When we say what do agents want from their broker, and that kind of ties right into where we're about to go. When we did our research, even as a tech company, and guys, I would have to say to my brokers who are watching this, if you can't measure it, don't do it. That's how the technology world functions. If I can't measure it, I'm not doing it. When it comes to advertising, that comes to any and every aspect of your business. Measure everything. But one thing we've realized is that, even though you start talking about all the technology, right? Amazingly enough, agents don't take advantage of the advantage that you're providing. Case in point, what I've realized is that most agents, when I look at it, guys, you start talking about our association here in Houston. Let me use that for example, and then I'm gonna give you another one. Our association here in Houston, the Houston Association of Realtors, is one of the strongest associations in the country. They provide a plethora of tools and solutions for our agents to use here. But guys, the buy-in from the agents, it's not even 10%. And that's just not Houston. It's just an agent thing. It's no knock on the association because they provide some beautiful tools, but people aren't using them. And then you start talking about, well, okay, Bobby, give me another example. 73% of all realtors don't even have a CRM. Think about that. We're talking about the backbone, the central nervous system to our business. A great CRM, but 72 to 73% don't have one. And you know what the number one reason is? Money. They don't have the money. And you know why? The top 25% of all realtors in the country, they do 75% of the business. See, the thing is when we start talking about technology and we start talking about brokerage, we have to understand the data. I'm a bit of a data nerd because the thing is the objective is to understand what the numbers, what the data says, not gut feelings, not gut feelings. You maybe make a gut feeling if you have to decide after looking at the data, right? But to go off gut alone, not a good method. But when you start talking about creating a technological solution and understanding why you're doing it, right? Because in the words of Simon Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So as we go out here and we think as brokerages and we're trying to figure out what do our agents want? What do they believe? But most importantly, you as the broker owner, what do you believe? And then you have to build that solution, right? And these two have to work in tandem with each other. You can't have this robust technological solution or just this brokerage model, because just the brokerage model alone with no technology, that's not innovative. Anybody can copy that. Anybody can copy a model. Oh, my brokerage charge $1 per listing, and we give our buyers back the entire commission. Okay, yeah, extreme, but anybody can make that decision. But if you, as the broker or entity, can figure out how do I create a comprehensive, innovative technological solution, and I have a business method that's just as strong, and I bring those together, now that's innovative, that's unique, that's a moat built around your business. So what do agents want from their brokerage? Believe it or not, number one isn't technology. Number one isn't leads. It's culture and a sense of belonging. It's culture and a sense of belonging. Now, technology can help build that. See, we go out and talk about this cold, isolated thing called technology. Again, coming from a guy who's the CEO and co-founder of a tech company. We go out and we just talk about this cold thing called technology that potentially has no pulse at all to it. But what people want, number one, being agents, they want culture and a sense of belonging. Now, how can you give that and you wrap technology around it, right? How do you give that? And this is what you have to figure out for your company in your territory, in your market area, because the agents in your area could be different from the agents in another area, right? If you travel the country and you go to, the different seminars and you meet people all over the country, you pull together like, wow, they're doing that, and this is why they do that. But culture and a sense of belonging is the number one thing agents want. And we have to figure out how do we provide that and how do we stitch technology around it. And then, yes, after that, then becomes support. And I left off the word technology in training. They want support, active support. Do you have the systems in place, the technology in place where they could feel that support, right? Support is a feeling. Support is a feeling that brokers and brokerages have to provide to their agents actively. And guys, I'm going to tell you, we have agents. That goes beyond a digital screen. That goes beyond a digital screen. Yes, it saves time. Yes, it does that. But this is where the extreme aspect of not having an office, a separate office, right, where that agent can come in and sit down with somebody for the largest purchase most people make in their lives. Hold up, to go over a contract and all the thee, thou, those. See, we can talk technology all we want, but we have to talk about the nuances of the business that we're in. And it's very litigious. And we can talk about the chats and the GPTs and all we want, but how do I turn around and help most agents understand the intricacies of this business, the contracts, all the dates, right? And so they need that support, the technology and the training. And we have to understand that. It's amazing I left that off here. And then the training component. Yes, technology. How do we do that? Is that where it's purely virtual? Do we have training to where it's a hybrid, and some people can come into the office because, again, we got different type of learners, right? If everybody was able to get their license online, they would do it. And if you're in this business, you know that if you go get your real estate license online, you're about to do a lot of reading. But if you go to class, it's more instructional, right? From a guy who has a master's degree in teaching special education, I understand the different types of learners. And we can't have an industry where we just treat everybody like they just fit into one box and bucket, because that's not true. Nobody, all people don't read, comprehend, and on the same level. We just don't, right? And then lastly, our leads. Guys, that's where we're going right now. You know, it's interesting when you look at companies, again, going back to the Ubers and the Amazons of the world. When we start talking about the future of brokerages are going to have to figure out, how do I provide value, more value to my agents? I'm not talking about the rehashed value, of an 8-track. We're in a Pandora world now. You need to sit that 8-track over there, and we need to figure out, what does a Pandora streaming type brokerage looks like? Because we're rehashing the same value propositions. Your agents want leads. They want leads. And you know what you're relying on right now as brokerages? We're letting third-party lead providers come in, and they're making more money per transaction than you. They're making more money on your agents than you, and yet you have all the risk, right? So what's the solution to that? Each brokerage in their own right, in their own communities and territories, need to become mini tech companies. They need to start building out their own proprietary solutions, right? Because the issue is, when you use these third-party lead providers and they're taking 30 to 35%, and I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised one day if that doesn't start hitting 40%, almost like a relocation company. Like, when you start taking that off top, right? That's money out of your brokerage. That's money out of your agent's pocket. Whereas if you were, as the broker, were to create this solution, create these ways, right? Then you would be able to turn around and provide these offerings to your agents, and those monies would be redirected back to your brokerage, so you can continue growing technically, right? And also in marketing, and be able to provide more solutions to your own shop. However, if we don't take those approaches, more of these companies are going to rise up. More of these companies are going to come up because the brokers refuse to do it, so they start filling in a void. And it becomes so, how do I say this, backdoor attractive, to the point to where brokers start actively signing up for them. Yeah, let me sign up for it. I'll give you 35% of my commission. By the way, man, agents are trying to go for the best splits. And so I'm over here, yeah, I'll sign up, but I'm over here taking a flat fee. I'm taking a $500 flat fee. They're signing up with a company, and they're giving them 35%. Well, what about me, the broker? And so the broker ends up being in a position to where they are in a race to zero, because the agents want everything, right? I want the sun, the stars, and the moon, but I have to pay them 30%, but I still have to give you an 80, 20, 70, 30, 60, 40 cut. Yes. Then all of a sudden, one day they start making a decision. I need to see more of my money. Guys, what do agents want from their brokerage? Culture and a sense of belonging, support, technology, and training, and they want leads. What we have to do is figure out, how do we do all of this and stay in a position to where, as a brokerage, you can continue to survive and thrive, meaning that you're going to have to create your own technological solutions. You're going to have to cut somebody out, or you'll forever be codependent upon them, and that will eventually put you out of business. All right, so what should consumers expect from the brokerage? Guys, so if we sit in here and we say, okay, great, we're going to transition in the future, I do believe personally, because we're doing this with our company, DOS, I believe that we're going to be in a situation to where a brokerage in the future needs to be both agent and consumer centric, right? Because you need to get in front of what's happening. If you don't get in front of it, your demise is inevitable. And so with that being said, I want you to think about it. Have you ever rode in the Uber? Have you ever gone to Airbnb. Guys, a brokerage has been a marketplace ever since it was formalized in 1908, right? We've been a marketplace. Everything starts with us, the center of the universe, agents and brokers, right? They come to us. I need a mortgage. I'm not pre-approved. Insurance guy, the title company. We direct all of this, right? And we are just as hopefully good as the referral or the direction where we send this client to all of these different other providers in order to successfully close that transaction. So what does the consumer expect? Send me to somebody who is professional, who's hopefully in alignment with your mission statement and purpose, right? Send me to somebody, take care of me. If something goes wrong, what do I do? If something happens, is it in your paperwork to say, hey, if you're never happy with me, the agent, your agent, if I'm not happy, who do I contact? See, the thing is we're in the brokerage business, which is a very, very lucrative, can be, right, business. We provide a service, but I could walk into a McDonald's and buy a Big Mac, and they'll give me the details of everything that's in it, even totaling the amount of calories. But it's amazing to be in the real estate industry and provide services, and everything is so taboo. Everything is so hidden and taboo. Most sellers don't even know what the agent is going to provide. The buyers don't know what the agent is going to provide. And we don't collectively, and I've traveled the country and talked to brokers, hey, do you do this? Do you do this? But it's so taboo. And all of our agents, yes, they're independent contract, but we don't create a standard workflow, right? Potentially that they could follow, that across our brand sets this industry standard, right? That they could work from and provide a client that's transparent and that almost ensures a great customer service experience, right? If I ride in an Uber and I leave my keys, I leave my shades, you know, she leaves her purse, her wallet, right? The rider can go into the marketplace, not only request for the item that they think they left behind, they could even rate the driver. The driver can rate them. And the marketplace, even depending on the problem, can step in and ensure or attempt to provide a solution. Does your brokerage do that? Does your marketplace do that? Does some of the search engines currently do that? Or do they just sell a lead and they're gone? And now it's up to the broker and the client is exposed, right? Think about that. Who does a client go to for the number one search engine on the planet? The number 2, 3, 5. If they're not happy, can they, after they get passed off to a realtor, can that consumer go back to that platform and complain and say, I wasn't happy? Right? The consumer wants accountability in today's market. Millennials and Gen Z, I want to trust the brand that's providing me this service. And I want to believe that this brand is going to take care of me when things go wonky. Is the brand doing that? Does your brand do that? Accountability. We could do that by way of technology. Are we infusing that? How do we ensure that our clients have a great experience? Do you follow back up after? Do you have a company policy that follows up? Because once again, we've already established that most agents have tools that they don't use. So does your company, when you cut checks or you do the commission disbursement, do you have a system in place that goes in and ensures? Because what you as a company are doing is you want everybody to come back in your community, right? So you could serve them. So accountability. Oh, I love Bobby and I love his service and Doss, they were so great. Do you have a way where you put that out, whether your agent does it or not? Right? The next one is, what does the consumer want? Competent agent. Right? How do you use technology to ensure that your agents are competent, meaning that they follow your system. I know at our company, an agent joins us, and we again, we're backed by Google. So what ends up happening is we use the whole entire Google suite of tools on our back end, and we leverage them masterfully, right? And so what ends up happening is that we have these catalogs. So when an agent joins our company, we have 10 videos that says exactly, hey, 10 videos, hey, before you go to orientation. We do orientation every Tuesday at 10 o'clock for our company. So when a new agent joins us, and I say new, not as a new, they just got their license, but new to our company, they watch those 10 videos before orientation. The videos are anywhere between 1.5 minutes and 5 minutes each. And then we have 10 more videos that they watch after orientation. Okay. And then our company is what we call a Go-Giver Ambassador. Bob Berg is a good friend of mine. He authored the best-selling book called The Go-Giver. And our company, that's what our mission and purpose is. That's what we stand for. So we want all of our agents in alignment with what we believe. We need to talk and have the same vocabulary. That's what we do at our company and our brand. And then we have all these videos and catalogs that they can go in on their own. So we don't have to constantly say the same things over and over again. But when they join us, they instantly get access. The minute we set up their DOS company email, and the minute they get that, their calendars fill up automatically because we structured it that way. And all of a sudden, they get all these catalogs, and all they have to do is sit down, grab some popcorn and a Coke, and just watch and get indoctrinated into the DOS way of doing things. Efficiency, competency, how we work, what you should do. When somebody's not happy, this. We cover all of these topics. But a consumer deserves, for the largest purchase of their lives, a competent agent. How, as a brokerage, do you use technology to ensure that the agents at your office aren't ability to your brand and brokerage? How do you use technology to train them? Right? What do consumers expect from their brokerage? Great service at flexible pricing. Right? You hear all the time, oh my gosh, I found my own house, this, that, and the other. I did this, I did that. And that's starting to happen as we continue to evolve this industry, as the consumer evolves, as they become smarter, right? As they better leverage technology. What do they expect? They expect competitive pricing. They expect transparency, right? All of these things can be accomplished with technology. But what do you, as a brokerage, what do you believe that looks like? I'm not saying anybody is right or wrong. You create what you believe based on your experience, based on the brand that you're creating, based on your community, right? Because again, each pocket and crack and crevice of this country is different. The majority of this country is rural, right? Yeah, you got major metropolitans where a lot of people are at. And I mean, in Houston, it's extremely competitive. We're in the 4th largest city. We have almost 50,000 realtors. And you have every model imaginable in this particular city, from flat fee to agents on 50-50. But those agents are making 6 figures. And you got the guys at the flat fee companies that are only closing 2-3 deals a year. So they have to see all of their money. You got rebate companies, reduced listings companies. You got companies that provide options. You got these different types of models. It doesn't make anybody right or wrong. They've created what they believe the consumer wants and their value proposition, right? To set them apart. But one thing's for sure is that the underlying desire from a consumer is to have great service, right? And pay a price that they feel like they're getting what they're paying for. And that could venture off into other conversations. But again, technology, how do you use it for accountability? How do you use it to ensure that your agents are competent? Because these are the things consumers want from the brokerage, right? Great service provided by your agents and potential flexible pricing, right? Because consumers are different now and they're looking for that. So when we start talking about, and this is actually my last screen, when we start talking about action items, guys, I would say as a company, as a brokerage, in regards to both technology and trying to create a method and model that complements each other. Because again, technology alone is not enough. A business method alone is not innovative. So you have to decide what do you as a brokerage owner, and if you here as an investor, are you looking at companies that are really truly innovative? Are they really in the forefront, that they aren't just one-dimensional companies, with built on solutions, bolted on solutions, that they actually baked in these services? But guys, our brokerages, they have to decide, what do you believe, and create it. That's what we had to do. And we went and did a ton of R&D, research and development, to understand not only brokers and brokerages and what are they doing, and the great ones and the not so great ones. What problems are you having? What issues are you having with your realtors? How are you mobilizing it? How can we become more efficient, right? Where are things getting stuck? And then same thing with the technology. Who's doing what? Who's innovating? And I'm not talking about a splinter of the problem, because that's what the real estate industry normally does. Oh my gosh, we're going to disrupt open houses. I'm like, that's really? Are we're going to disrupt open houses? Like, we have fundamental problems wrong, with the real estate industry that are much bigger than disrupting an open house, right? Or we're jumping and leaping to blockchain when we're not ready for that yet. Like it's there, right? And we're getting there, but people aren't ready yet. And we've had to deal with that too at DOS. We have to create for people today and be thinking about tomorrow. We can't get ahead of ourselves. That's how companies go bankrupt. That's how companies run out of money, right? So we have to decide, what do you believe, and create it for your agents, right, today. And what does your community need? Have you surveyed your community? Do you talk to people? Have you talked to enough people? We're not talking about 3 people showing up saying, oh my gosh, I love it. No, we're talking about, we've surveyed 100. We've surveyed a few hundred people, and we really got this input back from them to decide, hey, what do you need, right? Let me ask you a question. Going back to this office situation, right? What if I could come into your office and buy boxes? What if I could buy tape, right? These are things that the community needs when they move, right? We have to think outside the box. And we have to do that with people that are thinking outside the box. If I'm going to create an office space that is for my agents and consumers in the community, what does the community need, right? And bring that into your brokerage. Reduce your costs, but man, go deeper and wider with the community. That's how you get the community to become more loyal, right, to your brand. Next, decide for agents and provide what they need. Again, a lot of times, just like in the words of Steve Jobs, I said that earlier, most people don't know what they need until you create it, right? Do the research, survey, and get with your agents as well, and make those decisions and provide them and encourage them to buy into what you're offering, right? A lot of agents have PTSD. Oh, I'm not using the company CRM. They're going to steal my data, and one day I may leave. Well, how do you solve that problem? You got to get buy-in from them. And then we're in this world now where, hey, if you want to take it and go, you could do that. You're not stuck using our company, right? You're not stuck. We don't want to steal your clients, right? We're here to serve you, right? So decide for them and provide what they need, but also think about how they're thinking and provide solutions to that. Lastly, create your own rules within the rules, right? The real estate industry is a very fragmented game. It really is a very fragmented game. And so what we have to do is understand the rules. This is the reason why, number one reasons why a lot of people get into this business, especially big tech dollars, and they get into this business and they don't understand the intricacies that govern this business. There are rules to MLS data. Trust me, we're creating that. We have a search platform. And there's rules to it. There are things I can and can't show and do. I have to follow the rules if we're going to use that data, right? But we have to understand the rules that govern our business, and we have to figure out, how can I be innovative within those rules that governs my industry? And maybe what we could do in Houston, we can't do in San Francisco, or we can't do in Alabama, We have to understand the rules and regs in each pocket of the country so we can continue to have the data and innovate in these territories, right? You got what, 9, 10 states? You can't do a rebate. You got to know that. You got to know that, right? And because if you don't, you'll go to those states and you get heavily fined, if not kicked out of the association, because you're not following the rules. And so those are my action items for brokerages. Again, my name is Bobby Bryant, and I look forward to connecting with all of you. That concludes my presentation.
Hey, Bobby, that was awesome. I took so many notes. I really appreciate your time. We have a few minutes for questions. If that's okay with you. We can.
Yes.
Awesome. So while we wait to see. I don't think that's Cody. I don't know if that's a question or just a comment. I have a question for you, Bobby, while we wait for someone to come in.
Yes.
First one, where can people connect with you offline? Your LinkedIn, Twitter, email?
Yeah, so LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn, more so than Twitter, but you could find me at Bobby Bryant on LinkedIn, and it has the same exact picture that you see here that's up right now with my profile picture. So yes, I would love to connect.
Awesome. And okay, so Cody just said it was a comment. So as far as a question for you, I mean, what predictions do you have for 2023 for brokers? You know, I mean, what's something that maybe a trend that you saw towards the end of last year, or maybe, you know, something at the beginning of this year that you want to make a prediction on, or, you know?
You know, the biggest thing I would recommend, if I heard you correctly, is that you know, we have to really pay attention to what's happening locally around us, right? That's the biggest thing. I think that when we look at what's taking place, we're fortunate, right? You know, I'm in one of the top 2 states where everybody in the country looks like they're migrating to, Texas and Florida. So we're fortunate there. And so I think what brokers need to do is really, really take inventory. I talked about this measuring thing earlier, right? You know, and if you can't measure it, don't do it. I think brokers really need to get to the point where they really have intimate conversations with their agents. They need to talk to consumers to really understand, is the process changing? How do they feel about interest rates? And what are we teaching and talking to our agents about in regards to interest rates? You let me tell it at my brokerage. I'm like, hey, I bought my first house in what, 93, 4, rates were 7, 8%. That was normal. And although when we went through 08 to 13, the last recession, a lot of millennials were what? Teenagers. They were living in their parents' house. And so now they're seeing rates and they're freaking out. You know why? Because we've artificially kept them low. So we have to talk to not only our agents who are like frozen stuck, but we need to also talk to the community and help them understand what's happening. And I think that's what brokerages need to do. They need to get out of the suits, get out the office, and they need to get out there and talk to the communities more. Brokers are not in front of the community. So what I want to recommend brokers to do is become the professional, become the voice, and stop letting the media and everybody else freak their clients and communities and agents out. Brokers need to get out front. That's my number one suggestion, is to get out front.
No, that's amazing. You know, something that you mentioned earlier during your conversation really stood out to me, which was like doing, you know, like the marketing, you know, don't market without measure. You know, like it's kind of like, you know, what's the ROI of a billboard, right? Or an ROI of a TV commercial? Like, why are companies still doing that, right? Because you can't really, you know, it's not like a Facebook ad or some sort of other paid social ad where you can track what you can measure and track what you're kind of marketing. Where I'm going with this is I think, you know, specifically real estate in general, it's like for an industry that's been around for so long, right? Like there's like kind of like the car business. You're so behind the technology game, right? So how can brokers embrace, I think, doing more with less? And what I mean by that is, like, think about ChatGPT. I didn't know ChatGPT in November when I first came out. I feel like I'm very fluent in now, but like I'm still a terrible writer. I use ChatGPT to ideate, to come up with ideas so I can then kind of humanize it in my voice, right? And then like, recreate that again, right? And for someone that hates writing, like I've written so many ebooks with it right now. I've written so much social media content. It's like I think the missing piece is the educational part. How are you educating? Like I've never bought a house. I'm one of those people that you mentioned, right? I'm a millennial. I'm 31. We were about to buy a house 2 years ago, and I was freaked out. This is first COVID started because of like the rates and stuff. It was always told to me is the American dream to buy, a home, right? That's not the case today,
Yep.
at least in my opinion. Part of my journey has been like, either educating myself, finding people that I trust that educate me, right? Because I'm also busy, and even though I love real estate, I just don't have the time to go spend it, right? So I'd rather go find a professional that I trust and I'm willing to. Our realtor, my wife and I, that quote unquote been working with. I mean, he's been with us for like 5 years, and he's always finds us rental houses and whatnot. But that's a relationship we've been nurturing. So I know the moment we're ready to buy a house, I'm just gonna call him. So it's we built that relationship with him, and we're having dinner. I think we got to move away from being so transactional to being more relational, right?
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, and we're dealing more and more with a generation of people who struggle with maintaining and sustaining relationships. The broker has to think in that instance. And yeah, that's on my end about the sound. Sorry. But the broker has to think about that, right? I joke with my agents and say, I need you to get out there and start talking to people with your mouth, right? And so when we start talking about the agent who isn't as social as some of the older generations are, because a lot of times today's agent and consumer, they're here, they're on text messaging. So brokers have to once again think ahead of that, and so and think of how people communicate in their market. But great question, and I had a great time. I really want to thank you, Javy, for having me here and to be a part of this beautiful event at Glorium.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us. And next time you're in Dallas, let me know. I live up here, so we definitely can grab some lunch or connect. So I look forward to learning more about you. My family lives in Houston, so I'm originally from the Klein area.
Let's do it. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye. Woo! What an awesome conversation. How's it going? We went over our time a little bit, so I apologize for that. I will hand over the mic to you so you can take over the floor. How's it going today?
Hey, doing all right. Yeah, excited to be part of this.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. And excuse me if I mispronounce it. Is it Sankarshan?
Yeah, Sankarshan, just like it's written. Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. It's just like with me too, like some people's like hobby, Javy, so it's just like I want to make sure that I get it correct. I have, I even got called Xavier, which was crazy this week. I'm like, how did you get the X in there? So thank you so much for joining us. Today we have you speaking over real estate will be valued not in square feet, but in cubic feet. So I'm curious to understand more of that context. I will hand the mic to you if you want to introduce yourself. I don't want to take up more of your time. We're a little bit over. Maybe you want to leave 5 minutes at the end to do some Q&A.
Sounds great. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Great. Hey everyone, I'm Sankarshan Murthy, co-founder and CEO of Bumblebee Spaces. We're the space company. We put furniture, fixtures, storage, all in the ceiling, and it only comes down when you need it, goes away when you don't, creating this incredibly efficient and extraordinary experience inside a home. So I'm going to walk you through why we're doing this, what is our mission, how do we approach this problem, and then love to take some Q&A from the audience here. I'm gonna do a screen share so I can just run through a quick presentation. All right. So I'm guessing you guys are able to see my screen. Sorry, hold on a second. All right, I'll jump in right here. So yeah, the big driver for Bumblebee, we're trying to solve two of the generational problem of today. Basically, it's housing and energy, and the space is kind of a universal need. All you guys are kind of interested in the real estate digital transformation, what is going on in that space. So I'm going to talk about kind of the combination of physical to digital, like what is going on in the real estate space, and how, like, in the future, real estate won't be valued just like square footage. That's not the norm, especially because we're going to be adding a ton of housing to the planet. So we add about 1 New York City a month on the planet. So the amount of housing we add over the next 40 years will essentially double the number of houses on the planet. It is a massive problem. This is the major contributor for all the the climate change, the carbon emissions into the atmosphere, as well as embodied carbon into the construction process. So this is the problem to solve, and we solve it in a very first principles manner. So the way we approach it is we look at how a home is used, how a space is used, and if you observe the space, it's never used. All the functions are never used all the time, right? So when you're not sleeping, the bedroom is like occupying all the footprint, heating, cooling, taxes, mortgage, all this stuff, insurance, and we're wasting a lot of resources for the space for the function that we're not using at that moment. When you're done working, you don't want to be looking at your work. You want everything gone. When you're done changing, your closet doesn't need to be sitting on the floor occupying footprint. So we think about how can we unlock space without expanding the footprint. So you don't need square footage to add space. You just need to use the space a lot better. So the way Bumblebee approaches each unit, so you can think of like each building block of the home is that much more valuable. So a studio becomes as valuable as one bedroom. A one bedroom becomes as valuable as two bedrooms. Two becomes 4, 6. Like, so its ability to add rooms without adding footprint. That's kind of like our basic building block of Bumblebee. So if you just compare side by side on how much we save from just changing, like adding the functionality into through Bumblebee instead of through traditional construction, you can see it's about 6.5 metric tons of carbon removed from every unit that we install, and people actually value it as space and not as just furniture. So the space actually becomes a lot more functional, and it's also like taking a lot less operating energy for, one is like just reduce heating, cooling, and rest of the load. And second, we also have like a battery integrated system that's able to offset peak demand on on multifamily or like any type of units. The magic of Bumblebee at scale, as if you're a home builder or developer, you can start seeing like you can pack more units, but it's higher quality of living. Every one of these units, it's more exciting to live in this than regular homes. Actually, I'd love to show you like a quick video of how the system functions. Our system is best seen in live, in person, because it's such a visually stunning experience, as well as just being in the space. Like ceiling, for most intents and purposes, is invisible, but we unlock it in a very sophisticated, like very smooth manner. So you can see this storage system. All your stuff is kind of put away. It's never visible. And the modules itself are actually not where the intelligence is. All the intelligence is embedded in the ceiling, where the sensors, kind of like high precision robotics that are kind of in the ceiling. This is a studio that becomes functionality of 1 bedroom. We have 1 bedrooms that become 2, the 2 becomes 4. Like, so it kind of ratchets on the functionality of the space, and really opens up the how valuable the space is. The utility of the space becomes radically more. Here you can see a bed coming down, transforming the space from a living office to a bedroom. And this is just to show you kind of where like how our systems are live in the real world, right? Like if we can go into any type of home and just like, because of the nature of this modularity, we can like fit it into any kind of home. The whole system's kind of running on low voltage. Like I was saying, it's battery integrated system. It's got some really innovative technologies that are kind of embedded right into the system. On the way down, we actually generate power, due to gravity. Like anytime we're bringing it down, we're not motoring, we're mostly coasting or braking. And braking is kind of like Tesla braking, right? It ends up, the motor becomes a generator and dumps the energy back into the system. So we capture it using a battery pack that's embedded, integrated into our system. There's also sensors kind of embedded in the home, so it understands depth and vision of the system. Privacy first, we understand what is being stored, how it's being used, what is, so even though it's out of sight, it's never out of mind, because the computer is kind of tracking it. The second is there's sensors in the unit where like if you get under it, if you get over it, like we're able to understand when to move and not to move very, very reliably. And the magic of Bumblebee comes alive from this. There's the physical aspect of like the hardware, and then the software is where the true manifestation of the user experience comes alive. So you can see what is being stored. We take using cameras that are embedded in the ceiling, we take a live shot of what is being stored. And using AI, we're able to caption each one of your objects that are stored in layers. So, over time, what is being stored, what is being removed, what is being used. And that creates this incredibly poetic user interface where you can just talk to your system. So this is kind of like the realization of ambient computer, right? Like the home just responds to your needs. And we are actually using ChatGPT to create these conversational voice unlock with Bumblebee, right? So you can just say, hey, where's my watch? Where's my eraser? Where's this specific paintbrush that I was storing? Like I put it in last Wednesday. You can use your kind of like, you can have a conversational UI that is like kind of understanding exactly what you need when you need it, creating this Iron Man's home into every one of our units. We have lots of people living in it. It's like growing every day, and super excited to kind of like host like incredibly interesting people living in Bumblebee, right? Like, and that this is like growing every day. So this is kind of like exciting for us. Our the integration process is also super exciting. So you can see it fits into any home. The beauty of Bumblebee is we've designed it to be extremely modular, and we distribute the load. So our systems are built very efficiently. So if we're shipping you a bed or a desk, or we only ship that module, like, or we only the materials related to that module, right? So you don't have to buy a bed, you have to buy a couch and a counterweight, and like you have to like lock up a wall. It's actually really, it frees up all your wall. You can like structure your home, structure your furnishing as needed. You can pick your favorite art and couch and whatever you want, and still add the space you need. And we have this AR app. You just scan your home, we capture full 3D of it, and we show you what's possible with Bumblebee. We're in some incredible architectures all around America, and now Canada, and we're expanding to Europe, Asia, like everywhere. It's growing. Our user base constantly grows day by day. With all kinds of use cases, from the primary office that becomes a guest room, to primary bedroom that becomes a home office, closet, game room, workout room, entertainment area that becomes a guest room. So you can have any kind of use cases. I mean, why wouldn't you use your ceiling? Ceiling's kind of like this unused end cap, like a dead space that in today's world, it's not really captured that effectively. So we unlock this and create an incredible software that lives with your system. Our installs are really rapid. It's like an appliance install. We put these anchors and rails, slide the robots in, hang the furniture, and the software kind of takes over at that point. And we constantly are building, training third-party installers who will be installing Bumblebee, the certified installers. Yeah, we lead this shift from thinking about home in 2-dimension. Like, think about whenever we like introduce a home as a realtor, as a developer, as anybody in the real estate world. Today you introduce as how many bedrooms and how many square foot. Like, it's a 2-bedroom, 700 square foot home, like 500 square foot studio, whatever. So that metric will become obsolete. The function of the home can be unlocked volumetrically, right? Like, in thinking about it, it's a mind shift. I think this is a paradigm shift in how real estate will be valued in the future. But it's also, once you experience Bumblebee, once you go into a Bumblebee unit, you will not use the word square foot again, and you won't see the ceiling the same. Like, we use full volume and kind of unlock this incredible user experience. That's Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. They are one of our favorite residents living in Bumblebee. Yeah, happy to take any questions and jump into sharing more about it.
Such an interesting concept. I love it. I'm a big fan of being efficient with your space, so this is really unique. I'm about to have a conversation with my wife about this, because I'm always trying to do more with less. So this is really cool.
Thank you.
So what inspired the idea, if you don't mind, while we wait for some questions to come in? I'm curious to know, like, what inspired the idea? Was it a situation, an experience, or just, market research?
Yeah, not market research. So, we all, so the team of Bumblebee came from product product design, engineering, hardware, software. Like this is like we worked on extremely complex products like Apple Watch and Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, and so we worked on these like really complex projects in our history. And it's funny, like as a product designer, when you sit in any kind of engineering meetings, all engineers are fighting for space. Like they're fighting for, the OLED guys need another micrometer, or the button guys need another 1.5 millimeters. Like everyone's fighting for micrometers of space, and we're trying to pack all these delights and surprises inside the product. And if you like, after doing that, you come home and see like how much space is wasted. We don't fight for space. Like there's no engineers fighting for space, and the home is just built with sticks and drywall and concrete. It's the same technology that's existed for generations, right? So I mean, in a way, I was solving this problem for myself. I wanted to just going through being in Bay Area, like just going through this process of we need more space in the home. We ended up like kind of debating whether we need to add more rooms, or do we just like make more space. While more questions come in, I'm just going to quickly mute here.
Absolutely. So I don't think there's a question that's come in yet.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like we're trying to solve this problem for myself, and before you can move rooms, we have to move our shoes and clothes and stuff out of the way. Like stuff is a big problem inside the home. So we started off kind of like this powered attic. Like if you can just like have the system in the attic and like power it on when you need it, it goes away when you don't need it. If you could have a vision system that's kind of like augmenting what you've stored in there, that'll change the way you actually use the space. It's not cold storage anymore. It's actually hot and useful.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was recently a few months ago. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was like an Airbnb or what, but the house was very like smart that we stayed at, and it had like in the bedroom like the TV that came out of like a dresser and whatnot. So I just thought it was like really efficient. I was really caught off guard because most of the time people just have we moved from a 900 square foot apartment to a home, and you don't realize like how much space you have, right? Going from a small little apartment, to even any size home, right? I mean, like it's quite the shift. So we were trying to figure out what to do with that empty space, right? Because we're like, we don't want it to feel empty, now that we have a little bit more space. So we had to go buy out more, but in your case, you're finding ways for people to do more stuff with less space, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's surprising, like we've installed in all kinds of footprint. Sometimes you need more functions, even when you have a like pretty big house, like the utilities, like the type of functions you need are like, sometimes it's like rare, right? Like you like, for example, you have like guests visiting. That's like few weeks in a year. That might be like you need a really good guest room, but rest of the time you don't want to be like paying for all that footprint and embodied carbon and heating and cooling it. So, but if you can get an incredible guest room only when you need it, disappear when you don't, or you can have, like you may be a wine connoisseur, like you just want like a really nice wine rack, and you don't want to just like take away like space in your kitchen for that. You can have like Bumblebee wine rack. You can have
Very interesting.
It's interesting. Any manifestation of floor furniture today, or anything that occupies footprint today, we'll eventually have a Bumblebee version of it kind of living in there, right? So, when you're having dining, hosting people for, dining, or, you need a nice dining table, you have it. When you don't need it, it's really put away, and, just like that space becomes something else, like could be a workout area, a game,
Hybrid
whatever.
space. It becomes hybrid at that point. It's really unique.
Exactly.
Especially like, I mean, in your example, I just became a dad, so about a year ago, so I have a toddler.
Right.
Just crawling around everywhere, right? It would be really convenient. I can just like easily move the table out of the way in the kitchen, So
Right.
One thing I'm curious about, and I'm not really sure how long y'all been around, and there still hasn't been any questions, so this one will be the last question I have for you, but what's the coolest project that y'all worked on, or, at least for you and maybe for the company, because they could be two different things?
Sure. Yeah. I think for the company, we went live in New York, with some really incredible projects there, which, in Long Island City, we're doing this project called Nova, which looks like this flat iron building, a lot of bumblebees. We're excited about a few full stack Bumblebee buildings coming live this year. The whole building will be Bumblebee. It's built into the fabric of, that's the best. Like, why wouldn't you use the efficiency? Like when you're building hundreds of units in a high rise, and any kind of multi-family setting, you can unlock incredible space. So we're having Griffin and the one in and then we're doing one with Kushner's in Miami, some of these it built into the design of the fabric of the design. That's really exciting for us. The other, some of my personal ones, there's some brick and timber style constructions that are really, it's incredible, architecture, really beautiful, it's historical buildings. But we were able to add Bumblebee to that and incredibly unlock. It's this juxtaposition of this old, beautiful building coming together with this technology that has AI in it. So it felt a little bit like Ex Machina cabin.
That's really interesting. So you made a comment, right before this about, that y'all are going to be building from the ground up, with another building, right? It's Bumblebee will be in. So is this something that you envision in the future, where if someone's building a custom home, Bumblebee would be just part of the process?
Exactly. I mean, it's not future anymore. It's present for us. We're doing this now, right? Yeah. It's we are in the process of Wynwood in Miami is gonna go live this next month. It'll be people can rent it. Yeah, there's buildings like that coming up, which has got Bumblebee integrated into the design.
Very cool. Well, let me know when you come to Dallas, because I definitely want to jump on that.
Definitely, we're actually in Austin already.
Were you? Yeah. I was trying to think. Probably the 3 first cities, maybe 4, would be San Francisco, New York, Austin, Miami.
Yeah. We're in all of those.
That's funny. I mean, that's where, except for Miami, but all 3 other ones, they definitely have a lack of space. So this definitely seems like the perfect product. Especially, I have a lot of friends in Austin, given that I'm in Dallas, that they wish they had more space, or at least some place to put more things in, versus cramming it in their room because they have no space.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about where your if you do a Pareto of where your monthly spend goes, the biggest one is you're paying for square footage. That's And if you approach it in first principles, that's the why would you pay for it? You're not using all the space all the time. We can unlock it to create functions that's actually valuable. And we're also looking beyond just residential, right? Every space eventually becomes multifunctional.
Very cool. Well, I don't think there's any questions that came in, so hopefully I asked enough. Where can people connect with you? Are you Twitter? I don't think I asked you this at the beginning. Twitter?
Yeah, I'm active on Twitter at Sankarshan. It's spelled a little differently in my Twitter, but you should be able to find me, Sankarshan Murthy. I'm also active on all other channels, Instagram and
Awesome.
LinkedIn
Great.
and all that.
Well, before we let you go, what kind of parting advice do you have for our audience, or maybe a prediction that you have for 2023 in your space?
Yeah, it's interesting. 2023 is turning out to be an interesting year because of the raising interest rate in real estate in world, right? So if you look at kind of one, there's like kind of people delaying buying because mortgage rates become so high. And it's also interesting opportunity because a lot of people are like, okay, well, I'll buy it at this interest rate, and knowing that there's it's kind of a buyer advantage market, and you can always refinance it, or depending on however you want to approach in the future. The interesting thing we've seen is people are actually making decision about how much of a home to buy based on the mortgage rate, right? So adding, going from a 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom can double your mortgage, depending on the location and interest rate that you qualify for and all that. Adding another room doubles your mortgage, versus this is where we see this in the precipitation of people, the market actually pulling efficiency out of the units. They are like, why would you go to 3-bedroom if you're just going to use the 3rd room for guests occasionally, right? So if you can create 4 rooms out of 2-bedroom footprint, that's a much better way for people to live. But it's also there's a lot of expectation from the home because of, I think, this plasticity that happened, this the permanent change in how people work from home. I mean, even if they're not fully working from home, at least 2-3 days in a week, they're spending enough time at home doing, working on their workstations and, just spending more time on their personal projects. So that the COVID related kind of plasticity, we're seeing that people expect more out of the home. They want a home office. They want a space where, library. They want a game room for kids. They want, as a new dad, I'm sure you see there's an explosion of stuff. The room becomes a nursery. It's just things, the expectation from home is ratcheting up, and the pressure for space is that is increasing. I think this is where kind of this precipitation of innovation is coming alive, of making more efficiency, make space for what matters,
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting point. I laugh because we have at our house, we have 2 floors, and underneath the stairs is this really cool, I don't know, it's it's almost like a downstairs attic per se, right? And it goes underneath the stairs, and it's just a room, and we were just using it for storage. And I remember before we cleaned it up and whatnot, I'm like, man, this would be a really cool game room for our daughter. And long behold, after much anticipation of us trying to not clean it out, we finally did, and now it's she loves that game room, right? So it's just it's crazy how we were able to turn that storage space into a game room, which then allows me, it's a very hybrid space. So it's just a bunch of her toys and stuff like that. But even though that, that room was just sitting there stagnant, right? We kept shoving stuff in there, right? We actually got rid of 80% of the stuff because we realized we didn't need it. It was just there. We were just holding it on for, because we're all some sort of micro hoarders, to an extent. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And then in my office, I'm at home, I work from home, but that was one of my kickers. We were going to turn one of our, bedrooms into an office. It's a full blown office. So I mean, you can see a little bit of my office, so I have, I have to, because I couldn't, in my apartment, I was 900 square feet. It was I felt like I could be in one room, put my foot in another room, and then like, reach out into the second room, right? It was all really compacted. So that was one thing.
I'm actually in my daughter's room taking this call, right? This is all Bumblebee. Like we have like bed. This is my desk is actually a Bumblebee desk.
Wow.
There's still all her stuff. Like, and it just like when she comes in the afternoon after school, this space is like puppies are playing here.
That's crazy. That's so cool. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to connecting, but, I definitely, feel like I can understand, the vision, and I think it's a really unique idea. I think it will make people realize how much, excuse my language, but stuff, shit they don't really need, right? And if anything, you can hide, you can hide a lot of stuff with y'all's process and kind of offering than the traditional way of doing it, where it's just shoving anything anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. And
absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. It was a great conversation. I look forward to connecting with you offline. I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, everybody. So we are at the end of the summit. I hope y'all had a blast, much fun as I did. We had a great lineup of speakers, some really awesome conversations. I'm looking forward to connecting. My name is Javy Martinez, and I am really glad for the 9th time, I believe it was. So I look forward to moving, to the next one. I know we're doing these monthly with Glorium Technologies. So Andre and the team, thank you so much for bringing me out. And I look forward to, connecting with each one of you offline. So if you haven't connected with me, mainly active on Twitter and LinkedIn at Javy with 2 V's _D. So connect with me there. I look forward to chatting with y'all. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, Cody. Thanks for being in the comments. Appreciate your support. Thank you very much to all the speakers and the sponsors of the event. Please, guys, if you can connect with them, give them some love and share this. If you know a real estate agent, someone, a broker, someone that could really benefit from some of these conversations that we had today, please share that with them. We're here together. We're here to help each other win, and hopefully wishing y'all much success and happiness in 2023. Thank you again, and have a great day.